And we are live again. WrestlePurists Podcast, episode 116, hosted by myself, AO, Charlie, Joe Hulbert. It's been another busy week, but of course, the main topic today for these Thursday shows is to review AEW Dynamite, so we're definitely going to be doing that. But like I said, busy week, especially with all the fallout of the lawsuit that was filed against Vince McMahon and WWE. There's been some developments in that. Pretty significant, very significant developments in that, to be very honest, that have come out today. And there's been other news as well, like, free agent news and all that sort of stuff. Your usual wrestling news, as well as what I just mentioned. So, okay, first things first, please like, subscribe, send any super chats for any questions, any takes, turn on post notifications. Hope everyone's doing good. Starting with my fellow co-host, Joe Hulbert. Talk to me.
How are you, mate? How are
Not
you,
bad.
Montgomery? I'm going to ask you. Good.
Not bad.
I apologise for looking like I just woke up, but in many ways I did just wake
You
up.
look good, man. You're
good. Thanks, mate. Thanks, got the buzz cut back, which has been controversial, as it always is, but, very divisive with my attires these days. It's a big topic of discussion, so at the looks of Joe Holbert on Twitter, if you'd like to see more. So I'm here to talk about AEW
2024 lookbook.
Yeah, I'm here to talk about. Could you imagine? Just all of me, like a webcam shot. I'm here to talk about AEW Dynamite, which featured a real youth movement, and much to get into.
Yeah, man. Definitely interesting median age on AEW Dynamite last night. But, yeah, it's a good show, though. But anyway, we'll get into that a little bit later. Charlie, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Had a very busy week, to be honest, but feeling pretty good. Excited to talk about Dynamite. This one was an interesting episode. I enjoyed it, though. It was fun to watch on the live stream. So, yeah, but doing all right.
Yeah, man, all good. And AO, what's going on with you?
The largest AO is in the fucking building. Here to talk graps. Just 4 British black fans doing our thing. As we usually do on Thursday nights.
Thursday nights, you wouldn't change them for the world, would you, people? Full names here from Anthony.
Look at y'all. Y'all thought y'all would be watching. Y'all thought y'all would be watching TNA and shit. That's over with. We here.
Honestly, the first dagger in the heart for me when it came to TNA is like big comeback, and that was like when the first TNA show was like main evented or whatever it was by Moose.
That was crazy. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
This really is just Impact, isn't it?
Like, trying to give you a chance, and you hit him with that Moose main event out the block. Like, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, oh dear.
But yeah, we're here. We're here. We'll go head to head with TNA. We're not head to head with TNA right now, but we'll do it. We do it. We ain't scared.
We're not scared. We don't run from it.
No.
I'm a little bit scared of Scott D'Amore, actually, but. Just being honest, I need to kick my ass, right? Speak for yourself. I don't know. I don't know if it'll go well.
Joe Holbert, he doesn't fear anything, but those Moose main events, they do something.
They're pretty frightening.
They do something to them.
They're a lot. That's a good call.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But yeah, like I said, another busy week. We have got a little super chat, and I'm going to bring it up right away because it's relevant for right now. Jonathan Gomez 199. They got Seth out here looking down bad. Seth Rollins has just uploaded his latest.
You put up another one?
His latest play. The latest one is: do you want to be Sid or do you want to be Terry Funk?
Jesus Christ!
Fuck! What?
So it was: do you want to be Ultimate Warrior or Ric Flair? I think it was. Then it was.
That's a loaded question.
Tell me about it. Then it was: do you want to be Hulk Hogan or Dusty Rhodes? And like I said, the latest one is: do you want to be like Sid or do you want to be like Terry Funk? So
that is an insane group of people. It's insane pairing of people.
How does Cody say no to this without burying the belt?
I think he should just bury the belt.
Goes out there and he says, "No, thank you, Mr. Rollins."
To be clear, because I only saw clips of it. So was the suggestion that rather than being Hulk Hogan, who was a famous politician, Cody should be more like Dusty, who would never politic or, he was never known for that kind. Is that what the suggestion was? He did it the hard way?
Kind
Yeah, I
of.
guess. Bro, he was out there in a literal blue suit talking about being a blue collar champion, like he couldn't get any more.
He's very subtle. He is very subtle.
Right.
I just love the idea of Dusty. It's fascinating how, and to be clear, I love Dusty Rhodes, but it's fascinating how the perception of him, like the way they market him now, has changed through the years.
Yeah, they market him as like hand in hand with his like gimmick in the territories.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, man.
Well, it's just like, come on, bro. I love Dusty too, but he's a corny piece of shit, bro. And everybody, we used to be allowed to talk about it. You're not allowed to talk about it anymore, bro.
Hardcore fans used to like dunk on him. He was like the ultimate. He booked himself to win all of those matches in the mid to late 80s. Obviously, before that, not so. But Bunkhouse Stampede, he invented a match that he only ever won. Only he could win it. He run guys out, but it's like he coached the NXT kids, and like in house, he's now treated as like one of their all time legends. Again, let me be clear, I haven't got a problem with that. It's just
That's
interesting.
probably more what it is, It's like because he's in the later years, he was such a like. It's kind of like a warm figure, perception wise, that kind of, you kind of glaze over and glamorize the kind of his career as a whole, then, don't you? So
yeah, absolutely.
We love Dusty, but as many wrestlers, he was far from perfect,
Right. We'll put it this way: if you're gonna, glorify an old wrestler, you could do much worse, right? Then we can all agree on that. So, it's fine by me.
Absolutely.
We could still be like flare blazing.
Yeah, it'd be crazy if someone was out there doing that.
Oh man, it's an interesting time in the business, isn't it? All right, let's get into the AEW Dynamite review, man. It's what we're here to do. It's what you people expect from us every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. or shortly afterwards. And what does anyone remember where exactly was Dynamite? That's not what city they were in or what state they were in.
It was New Orleans, Louisiana. We had Rob of WrestlePurists doing on-field reporting last night.
Oh my God.
He was in the building.
Big responsibilities, we try as much as we can to have some, some people on the ground, front line at these wrestling shows. But yeah,
getting the scoops that Marks like Meltzer won't tell you.
Something like that. All right. AEW Dynamite opens up with Jon Moxley versus Jeff Hardy, and interestingly, some of the stars from CMLL that were sitting front row and just behind as well. Mystico, Volador, Hechicero, Mascara Dorado was there as well, I think. So yeah, he's kind of cool to just see him out there in the suits and just, observing, and it was a cool visual, But yeah, Jon Moxley, Jeff Hardy, it was a spirited effort. I don't think you need to have Jeff Hardy out there for like prolonged matches at this point. Just kind of play the hits, let him have a spirited effort out there, and kind of take it on. They did some kind of, I don't know what you'd call them. I wouldn't say quite viral spots, but you had Moxley sticking his pen through Jeff Hardy's piercing and shit. Kind of like weird things like that. The crowd seemed to be with it for the most part, and it was an alright little match to start off. And we'll get into like the post match and that after and stuff like that. But as a match, Charlie, I'll start with you. What did you make of it?
I thought it was pretty decent for what it was. It was definitely too long, in my opinion. Like you were saying, Jeff Hardy should not be. He should be going out there and playing the hits and working to his strengths. And a fucking 16-minute or whatever it was TV match is not one of his strengths anymore. It just is what it is. But for what it was, I thought it was pretty fun. The crowd enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It meandered a little bit in the middle, but it was always going to at that length. So I think they did a good job to get it back on track and have a cool finish for it. So yeah.
Decent effort from Jeff Hardy, wasn't it, John?
It was, yeah. You've both mentioned how long the match went, and it's funny because last week we were talking about the Swerve match, and we were like, "This was good, but a little long." That was 14. This week, this was 15. So they said, "Fuck what WrestlePurists said. We're going longer." So I assume next week he's going to wrestle someone for 16 minutes. But yeah, like Jeff is. obviously Jeff is most famous for the big stunts and big bumps, but he is actually capable of being a very smart babyface wrestler, which
Yes.
as of right now he still is. He's obviously turning.
Yeah.
But the people still love him. So when he wrestles like a traditional babyface match, he honestly is like, he's fine in there. So yeah, this was actually like pretty decent. I think the Swerve match was better, to be clear, but I thought it came out pretty well. And you know, we'll get to the CMLL business, but the heel turn thing is, I do think while I kind of appreciate they're still trying to do new things with, you know, the Hardys are, that is, because clearly they want to like do stuff on TV. It does feel like a mistake to take away Jeff's like superpower, which is how much people like that dude. Like he was wrestling Mox last night, and it was Let's Go Hardy. You know, it's like they love that dude. So that's the only thing I'd say. But I think he's doing well in 2024 thus far. I thought it was a pretty good match.
Yeah, he is. It's not you said taking away kind of his one last, you know, his the last good punch he's got left. You know, the people still just adore him. Just you don't have to do anything just off the base. The fact that he's Jeff Hardy and everyone's kind of got this endearment towards him. But you know, we'll see how it goes. Ayo, what have you made of Jeff Hardy so far in 2024? It seems pretty solid.
3 enjoyable Jeff Hardy singles matches in a row. Who would have thought? I'm not gonna say they were all good. I mean, they're all right, but they were enjoyable. They were enjoyable wrestling matches. I think I was kind of nervous when Mox's music hit, because you know, no matter what, that first match is gonna hit 15 minutes. Like that opening, like Dynamite's got a formula. They're gonna stick to it. They want that first quarter number to do well, so they're just gonna keep those people out there. So it definitely went a little bit long. But, you know, it was enjoyable. Jeff being that over is crazy. I don't think they cheered for Mox at all. And it's not like he leaned heel too much. Like, he was just being Mox. No. And him having to draw heat eventually will be very interesting to see. I don't know if that's something that I particularly want to see. I don't know. It could be interesting, but also be fucking dog shit.
It feels like it's more... And I'm not even like saying this in like a nasty way, but it feels so much more suited to Matt's strengths. And at some point, the question has to be asked of, do Matt's strengths like matter? You know, it's like there is probably a story to tell with Jeff Hardy. Is it one I'm desperate to see told? Not really, but they love him, and like he appears to be better in singles matches than tag matches. If that makes no sense to me, but I'm just looking at what I've got in front of me here, and that's the way it's played out. And it's like, I think Matt will be able to do some quirky shit as a heel, but like, what's the actual ceiling on that? You know, like, do we need that?
We've already seen it, I think.
Exactly, that's the thing. Yeah, so.
In AEW,
the big money Matt stuff he had going on with Hangman and all that. That was the ceiling of his heel work in AEW.
I think Jeff probably does come off better in singles these days because of that superpower that he has. That people are still like so endeared towards him, and it's like, you know, a heel can still kind of do a heat segment on him and stuff like that, and people can still sympathise with him in that sense, so people can kind of build up for his comeback, and then all he's got to do is play the hits, you know?
Right.
And, but yeah. Or you go 15 minutes with Moxley, and it's passable, you know?
I always remember MVP talking about working Jeff on house show loops. And he was talking about how some baby faces, you have to really construct, what am I going to do to this guy when I'm getting heat on him? You know, am I going to work his... And he was like, with Jeff, if you just hit Jeff, there'll be someone ready to jump the rail. You know, like he's like, he said him and Ray are both in that, like, they love them so much, you don't have to redo anything. If you just beat them up a little, the people are ready. They want to see that comeback. So that kind of speaks. And he's in 2024, we saw that against one of their biggest stars. So that says a lot.
Yes, Jeff Hardy getting off to he had a pretty solid January, man. He did. He did. And obviously, the big takeaway from this, though, other than Jeff Hardy refusing to shake John Moxley's hand, how could he do such a thing? Well, as I mentioned at the start of the show, the CMLL wrestlers were front row. There was a few incidences throughout the match where, you know, they'd get close to the railings. I think at one point Mox ended up in Mystico's lap. And, you know, they were kind of gesturing towards each other and stuff. Mox got up on the top rope after he won, kind of gestured towards them again. And they didn't stand for it this time, Joe. The CMLL wrestlers, they raided the ring, they jumped the railings, and they stomped the shit out of John Moxley until Daddy Magic, Matt Sydal, and
Cool Hand Andrew and Christopher Daniels.
Yes.
until the heroes of the AEW locker room came out
Thank
A real
God.
who's who of the division.
Yeah.
to make the save for John Moxley, and the AEW security came out and stuff. And yeah, man, hot angle after the match. Of course, Moxley getting into beef with CMLL wrestlers, the entire roster it seems. Yeah, the CMLL wrestlers, they were quoting AEW's tweets and that on the timeline. You
Yes.
know, they were CMLL's
Volador
official
Jr.
page.
made a Twitter account just to chat shit about John Moxley.
There was a fresh
That's real fucking
Volador
grabs.
Jr. He's probably got a few hundred followers on it, just talking shit about Mox, you know. But yeah, man,
True.
CMLL versus Mox in the BCC. Of course, we'll get to that a bit later on, but that is definitely the direction. Obviously, you got Danielson versus Hechicero. My apologies. On Saturday on Collision, and then we got another match coming up next week as well, which gets announced later on. But yeah, John, what do you think of the angle, mate?
I liked it. It did spark a heated debate between my father and I, who was asking why they said Claudio wasn't there when he was clearly in the ring, and that was his take on Christopher Daniels, which was an interesting moment. So, was continuing debating with me too. Was explaining I was wrong. It was a real knockdown, drag out, affair. But nonetheless, I like the angle, man. Them being at ringside felt very Nitro, and I like the way that it kind of like it escalated so quickly enough that you could believe they didn't know how to handle it. Always a fan of a promotion like empty in the locker room. Always think that's a cool visual. Hilarious choices to do that here. Like Daddy Magic coming out. It's like, oh man, but nonetheless, it was like, I thought it was well done. The only thing I would say is I think the announcers could have put it over better, especially afterwards. Now that isn't really a criticism of their performance in terms of afterwards. They should have been given time to do that. If I missed that, I missed it, but it didn't feel like that was a thing they really emphasized, because when you do an angle where the promotion's locker room empties to protect one of the guys, it should really be like, the show should have to reset for a moment. Unless I missed it, that wasn't the case. But yeah, I thought it was a good angle, and I like the direction a lot. I think it's kind of cool and a fresh thing for Blackpool Combat Club to do for a couple of weeks.
Definitely, this, I guess, CMLL AEW partnership, which was announced like last week when they done like the graphic and everything with it. Hot start, Charlie.
Yeah, this was really exciting. It makes sense that it's Moxley that is the crux of this, because if he's been doing these promos for weeks, it's just like, you got to step up or get stepped on. And the CMLL guys, they stepped up and stepped on him. It was quite funny actually, but yeah, hilarious choices for the Rampage match. But the guys coming in, they've got to win at least one of these matches. So you got to do what you got to do when it comes to that. But yeah, I'm really excited to see where this goes, and I think this is very much them getting us ready for them to be involved in Forbidden Door, which will be very exciting.
Yeah, man. Hopefully. But yeah, hot angle. Maybe, I know from the John Moxley promo, which was on social media, we won't be seeing the BCC trying to raid Arena Mexico, just as the CMLL wrestlers raided AEW last night.
I think they did a really good job, like making them come across as stars on the television show, like come across as people that we need to be interested in. Stomp the shit out of Mox, which is gonna incite a emotion in the AEW fan base. I saw a lot of people saying, it's like, oh, I'm not familiar with Hechicero, but I'm gonna go look him up. I'm gonna go see what he was up to. And then they saw that he was like one of the best technicians alive, and they were like, all right, now I want to see him wrestle now. Like Joe said, they probably could have done a better job, like putting over the angle on the television show, like making it more impactful, like just being like, oh wow, like weren't expecting that. We invited these guests here and they just beat the shit out of our top babyface. So you can't kind of breeze through that, but you know how AEW is with their timing and shit. But I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to this partnership. It was actually funny because on the on WrestlePurists Worldwide, when Rocky came up, he was like, it was with y'all when he was like, oh yeah, the CMLL guys, they could work AEW Dynamite, but probably no AAA guys on that show. Or if there's AAA guys on that show, the CMLL guys can't come. And then there was two AAA talents last night with Taya and Commander. So it looks like there's going to be a lot more leeway than we originally thought when it comes to that, which is amazing.
Mm. Yeah, of course, flexibility is, we've seen a lot of it with AEW when it comes to working with promotions and stuff. And it's been one of the major selling points of AEW is being able to kind of get these promotions to bend a little bit to work with them, even if it does, as Ayo's pointed out, go against kind of what we may have expected from the promotions, especially CMLL and AAA. So we'll see how that plays out though. But to kind of touch on the just the way it's like perceived in AEW, like Joe mentioned it, Ayo mentioned it about like how they could just take it a bit more seriously, like when something like this happens. Like I loved the angle and like what it has ultimately led to with the Blackpool Combat Club versus CMLL, but part of me does wish that like on special occasions like this, like because this is a special occasion in terms of like a hot angle, outsiders coming in, jumping the railing, stomping up on the top baby faces, as Ayo mentioned. I wish it wasn't like in its own vacuum, which AEW does quite a lot. Everything seems to be in its own vacuum at times.
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved the commentary to be like more appalled and surprised, even apologizing to the audience for these
I would
outsiders.
have put the camera right on like Excalibur or Tony's face and been like, "Oh, that was obviously unacceptable. We apologize to our fans at home. We had to watch that and all that stuff."
Mm-hmm.
Like, really put the angle over.
Even like a message later from Tony Khan that's like, we at AEW started this partnership and invited CMLL to Dynamite in good faith, and and they've obviously abused that, and no matter how they felt provoked, there's no excuse for the actions they took against John Moxley. We're going to be looking into it and discussing it with CMLL. And then kind of you could have held off the trios match announcement a little bit. Then like after talking with CMLL, know what I mean? Then you announce the match.
And they certainly and I understand they're like horrified of kind of slowing the show down because of the quarter hours and stuff, but it's not like they was short on time, right? Like we just talked about the Jeff Hardy match coming in at 15 minutes. So it's like they definitely had the time on this show. So yeah. And again, it's not so much like this is one example, but that is something they struggle with a lot. Like someone will throw a fireball and they'll cut back to the building and be like, anyway, here Aussie Open, It's like you gotta be if you're gonna do it, like you might as well get some juice out of it. But yeah, it was a good angle anyway.
Yeah, like I said, I did love the angle and ultimately what it's led to. Blackpool Combat Club, CMLL, potentially them guys going over to Arena Mexico as well could be like. I think a lot of AEW fans realise like how incredible that would be. Like Danielson, Marks, up in Arena Mexico when it's rocking, like it has been the past year or so. Like CMLL's been flying recently, so. Those Arena Mexico shows, Ibu's sang it many times, and I'm sure any other fans of Lucha, I know Ibu only watches CMLL from time to time, but they'll tell you, man, CMLL, it's rocking, it's popular at the moment, so a good partnership, good start to the partnership, and also during this opening segment, match, whatever, it was announced in the corner on commentary that Tony Khan will be having a big announcement next week. So before we kind of get into the reporting behind it, any guesses, Charlie?
I wonder what it could be. It's got to be something to do with one of the three talents, and based on what's come out today, it's got to be Mercedes, I reckon. So, TD Gardens.
Anyone got any surprise predictions, or we all kind of on Mercedes?
I wouldn't write off Bob Holly, but Mercedes is probably my favourite right now.
What if it's like Forbidden Door venue or?
It's my name.
You think it's free agent? You think it's definitely Mercedes? You think it's definitely a free agent? You think it's definitely Mercedes? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've been trying to figure out when she would be coming in for a while.
Of course.
And then we kind of naturally were like, everyone started looking at March, right? And there's that vacancy in March where there's not a TV booked, and it's like we've seen this play before. It worked very well before this. I think there's a pretty obvious direction here, and yeah, I mean, I think it could be It's actually, if they do this correctly, this is like big announcement is actually an understatement in this case. Often it's like way dramatic, but this is actually a monster if this thing comes together as it should. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's
on a star power level, she She beats out Danielson, right?
Yeah, she's a big
Like
one.
she's just she's only under Punk when it just comes to like star power, like fan mobility. Probably, we saw what New Japan said about, and I guess you have to attribute some of it to Kenny, but you saw what New Japan said about how their business was affected on what was it, Wrestle Kingdom 2023 when she was on the card, or was announced to just show up. It wasn't even wrestling. So I really think we're getting 10K people in the Garden. I think it's happening.
I think one of the reasons she's such a big signing too is, compared to the names we just mentioned, a lot of her fan base, I don't think are like big AEW fans, So, and that's very different to like a Danielson. Most of like Danielson's big fans would have been very much already like, and that's fine. It was obviously the work he's produced made it worthwhile and then some. But it feels like there's a version of this Mercedes deal that is like an actual game changer of sorts in terms of the business. Now, whether that comes to fruition or not, we will, time will tell. But yeah, big one.
Yeah, it definitely does feel like it's happening sooner rather than later as far as Mercedes to AEW is concerned, especially according to recent reports. Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful Select, and Andrew Zarian, actually. Mercedes Moné is expected in AEW in March. Sean writes, while no one will confirm, it was implied that Tony Khan's announcement next week was related to the impending appearance of Mercedes Moné in AEW. However, it was not said that her signing would be outright mentioned as part of the rumoured announcement. So, probably a Boston venue. Now, name something like... I don't know. Can we throw that around for a minute?
Somebody had the statement last night. Somebody had
that's the one I keep seeing.
Who one's better than that too? I just don't remember them for whatever reason.
So she doesn't have the boss thing is no more, right? It's CEO now. Is that what it is?
She's the
CEO. I know a lot of people have joked about the first deposit, which is the funniest one by far.
The first deposit. Goodness gracious.
I've seen that one thrown around a lot, but yeah. I mean, there's it's interesting. Monty, how confident are you it will be a good name?
I think it was
before you answer that, Monty, how did y'all feel about the first dance?
Unfortunate. Unfortunate name, I thought.
I thought it was just whatever. Like I thought it was just like I was very neutral on it.
I mean, the thing is that proves, or like before we go any further in this conversation, that proves how little it actually matters, right? Like, look at So we're just having fun with this, but yeah, I think it could be a funny name.
First dance is AEW Dynamite break the bank. Someone said
break the bank. The first loves his cultural references that are outdated at that point because the last dance was outdated when that shit came out. We're still doing Winter is Coming, so it's something like 2 years old that TK just latch on to the situation.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
What was the show? They never actually went with it in the end, but what were they going to call the first Collision show with Punk? Remember they had like a name trademarked?
Wasn't it supposed to be or something?
No, it's called... I'll remember this vividly. Me and Manny got some content out of this. The Second Coming.
The Second Coming.
I remember the religious Punk pictures,
Yeah, they kind of went away from it, right? They didn't use it.
Yeah, they didn't do it. The trademarked it. I'm sure the trademarked
The Second Coming. But yeah, hopefully it's a funny name that we can have some fun with and it also draws huge, get the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Money heist. It wouldn't have money straight in it,
Nah, that's way too big.
That would be excessive, yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of... I mean, there's a few people who think it might be Okada, but in regards to the announcement next week, but I think a lot of people's... I think a lot of people's assumption is that they may be announcing a Boston venue, possibly the TD Garden. TD Garden is quite sizey though, but if you can get a few thousand people in there, like over 5, I'm sure you can make it look good in there.
Oh yeah.
I asked my Twitter followers earlier, like how many, if they were to do the Boston TD Garden, and strongly hinted at Mercedes Moné and Okada being there. How many tickets do you think they would do? I think the most popular answer was somewhere between 5 and 7K. So we'll see. There's a few people who think they can do 10K. The Mercedes one's it's an interesting one for me when we talk about Mercedes as a draw, because there's the numbers that AO mentioned that New Japan would, that they were kind of celebrating when Mercedes was there, and we've seen, I know that the Battle in the Valley that sold out with a month in advance, but with the asterisk of it only being like 2,000 people or something.
It was 3K.
So yeah, a few thousand people. It weren't really like, they didn't sell out an arena sort of thing. In WWE, she'd been known to draw good quarters and stuff like that. So we know that she can get subscriptions and, people to tune into TV, but buying tickets is a different thing. And because of how she was positioned in WWE, she hasn't really had an opportunity to fully display if she's like a big ticket mover. Right. So it's like, if she can, I'm sure they'll do well, if they did put the TD Garden, but how well, I think, is just like completely up in the air, because there's no history to refer to of Mercedes Moné as a ticket seller at the top of a card, So, we'll see. I think it would be.
I think there's going to be a vast difference between what we see with Battle in the Valley and the Boston show, because like Boston is in the Northeast. There's a bunch of cities that are just a train ride away. With San Jose, and it's our hometown, you have to do the hometown factor as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Boston's just like 2 times bigger than San Jose, 2 to 3 times bigger. So, I think it's definitely in a better location to perform better, and it's
100%. That's without question.
So,
I
think they should be shooting for like 8 to 9K. I hope they don't overcharge people on this show. Just get people in the building. They need to just get people in the building in general. I saw the tickets for that New Orleans show, and the prices were disgraceful, bro. It was like. It was like $150, and it wasn't even like the front row. It wasn't even like the first 2 rows. I was like,
I don't understand.
This is definitely I don't get it. Especially when you have the TV deal coming in that by every outlet that talks about this TV deal says AEW is gonna make hand over fist in this deal. So why are you like nickel and diamond on these fucking gates? I don't understand.
Even if they weren't getting a big increase on the deal, which is absolutely expected at this point when it so happens to come out, but like even with what is it, 45 million a year, I think they're getting a little bit extra now because they're in an option year.
Yeah.
Even with that, it's not like Joe. It's not like the territories, brother, where you live and die on your ticket sales and you need to try and bleed as much as you can out the house. Tony Khan
don't matter.
Yeah, Tony Khan and AEW were just not in the
fucking deal. They just don't matter. The gates do not matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
you get the big chunk of money from the TV deal, so it's like you don't need to bleed. I don't know who's advising AEW and Tony Khan in regards to ticket pricing and stuff, but they don't need to be trying to bleed every last dollar out of the ticket buyers because the houses are in no position to be trying that. As I always said, just get people in the building, man.
Like, it would help a lot. It really
I remember first year AEW was basically like free again. You could get it for like $15 if you wanted to watch a fucking AEW show. I think the cheapest tickets they had for the New Orleans show was like $25, which isn't a crazy increase, but once you get closer and closer and closer, it just gets more absurd.
Yeah. So I may be mistaken on this, but I think I read earlier this week, WrestleTix was talking about how they've stopped, like, because for a while there, they were cutting the prices when the show got close, right? And it seems like that's... So I do wonder if we're in a little bit of a middle ground here, because the fella they just hired to run the events, obviously he hasn't actually taken, like, he hasn't gone into effect yet, right? In terms of the shows he's booked. We're still with the shows that were. So I do wonder if that adjustment is kind of going to try and reset things when they get to his shows, because one of the issues, while it was better for fans, and obviously that's, the most important thing to me, the issue with the way they were doing it with the cutting the prices was, like, if you paid, $150 to sit in a certain seat and then everyone sitting in front of you paid $20, that person who paid $150 ain't going to be right. So that's why that's always complicated. So hopefully we're just in like a middle ground. And when we get to shows that are going on sale now, the prices will be more reasonable from the start, so they don't have to be slashed in the final couple of weeks or whatever. Because Like, look, this is not a podcast where we delve deep into like the business metrics and stuff, but I think we can all agree as people that watch the show, it would be nice if it looked, a little fuller. It would help everyone, especially, and we talked about this last week with their production choices as of late, with how much like the barricades got fucking lighting on it and everything. The ring is like a toy set now, and that is even more jarring when the house is pretty dark, right? So hopefully things are kind of moving in the right direction with that once we get to this new regime, but we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, hopefully they are. I always see people talking about the AEW ticket prices, which I just don't think they're a company to be in a position to have fans complaining about ticket prices,
Yeah.
They're still a new company, bro,
From merch as well. Like, I don't understand why their ticket prices are so high. Like, even ignoring the TV deals and that, their merch, like, they make so much money off of that. I don't understand, like, what their need is for these ticket prices. It's very weird.
It's also tough for the wrestlers too. Luckily, AEW's product is such that the people make a lot of noise for their show. Like Saturday was crazy when the Rumble was on, because if you were flicking back and forth, the Collision crowd was louder than the Rumble crowd, and there was 48,000 less people or whatever it was. But I think we've all kind of heard this anecdotally. For the wrestlers, it is difficult to work that way when you're working to the camera and there's no one there. That is hard. Like. Not in a dunk way. I hate when people do that shit as like a dunk on a. It's lame to me. But just for a talent, it is difficult. It's kind of especially for young wrestlers. It's not great for your confidence. So yeah, there's a bunch of reasons they're spare to just fill the place up. But hopefully that starts soon.
We'll see. Maybe. Do you think they're definitely? But if let's say they are booking a Boston venue, do you think it's definitely the TD Garden, or do you think they'll look into other?
I imagine so.
I think it would have to be. There are other. Venues in Boston. They're just like, they're not like, there's no fame or like legacy to them. Like, nobody gives a fuck. Like, I don't. Yeah. And they're not in Boston. They're in the Boston like metro area. They're in just like Massachusetts and shit like that. And would people be willing to travel there? Like, I'm thinking of hopping on the Amtrak and going up to Boston for this show. I'm not going to Worcester, bro. Like, it's not fucking happening. Like, I'm not going to Amherst, Massachusetts. Yeah. So
Tony loves his iconic venues.
They've run TD Garden before, right?
Yes. Blood and Guts last year. They got like 9.5K in there or something.
Yeah, they'll definitely run.
Yeah, 9, I think it was.
Yeah, they'll definitely run that building then. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man. All right, let's since that was quite a substantial break from the AEW Dynamite show, even though we was kind of talking about Dynamite, still do a few super chats. Will Chisholm, $5. Appreciate you as always. Cody's face was like how dudes be trying to holler at a girl, but she doesn't want to be mean and turn them down.
Cody, look, man, I'll speak for the entire panel here when I say we want to see the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes face to face against Seth Weekend Rollins at WrestleMania. Book it.
I do not co-sign.
Book it.
I definitely do not co-sign that. Phantom FTW £2. Wishing AO, Montel, Joe, and Charlie happy Black History Month. Thank you, brother.
Appreciate that, Phantom.
Match on 84, 199. When he's healthy, Omega versus Valador Jr. equals dream match. Yeah, that would be great, man. Valador can go, brother. Then obviously Kenny goes without saying. Missing him. Andrew and B torn meniscus. Wallahi, I'm finished.
I just saw that. Yeah,
bro. He was having such a good year too.
It's just never gonna be, bro.
It's never gonna be. It just is what it is. It just is what it is.
We are absolutely gonna be one of those 30 for 30 what if episodes. I
just hope that like some like two young superstars or whatever would just like carry Embiid to a ring when he's like fucking 36 or whatever the fuck. I just want him to win.
Yeah. It's not CM Punk,
What a piece of shit.
Anyway, that's AEW Dynamite. Alright, CMLL guys, AEW, blah, 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 blah. Hangman Adam Page versus Toa Leona. Oh, yeah.
What a moment this was.
This was a victory for Elite Wrestling, you know.
As my friend Joe likes to say, a triumph of professional wrestling.
Sometimes you got to give one of your top guys just some big, crazy fucker to work with. Just see what happens, see what they can get out of them. And, you know, the results do vary quite a lot across different top guys across the business, you know. But last night, Hangman Adam Page did some great work, ladies and gentlemen, you know. Toa Leona, what a beast. Ayo, what did you think of this?
Bro, sometimes you just gotta take these guys that you like, or maybe you think you could like them one day. You just throw them in the fucking fire, bro. Tell them to go 15 minutes with Hangman fucking Page. Let's see what happens. I love this match. I want to see way more of Toa Leona now. Like I like Conwell enough, and I do like Get to Agony. Whenever they have a match, I think we put them over. But I want to see Toa Leona go through all the top guys now. I want to see that Mox match. I want to see I want to see him wrestle Kenny when he gets back. I want to see the Danielson match. Like, he went out there and he maximized his minutes. He got over his fuck on Twitter. I saw drone accounts being like, "Oh my god, what if Solo was like this guy?" Like, even the drones were like shaking in their boots over there and shit. Like these guys didn't know who Toa Leona was 3 weeks ago, bro. They didn't give a fuck. But I really think that going to Japan helped his work, because like he wasn't really doing like the Samoan shoe headbutts and shit like that. Those corner headbutts, that really wasn't in his bag. He pulled out a fucking moonsault to the outside out of his ass. Like, where did that fucking come from, bro? I want to see more Toa Leona in 2024.
Cool song. Yeah, Joe. Hangman, selfless performance, man. Like, he really let Toa Leona beat the fucking shit out of him for a big chunk of this match, didn't he?
He wasn't. He was in fear of going full nerd. Like, you could see he was calling this too, which was interesting to watch, because calling a match with Toa Leona is like, you know, it appears to be like trying to wrangle. Like, he's so wild, you know. But this is the most, even though it was very well channeled in that he still maintained that like crazy intensity. But this is the most focused I think he's ever looked in a wrestling ring. And I say that's someone who's always enjoyed Toa Leona since he first appeared on a Dark episode. So, yeah, there's something to Toa Leona. There is money there. And I don't necessarily know what the package is and what the ceiling is, but like, there are a lot of wrestlers who are put in this spot of lose match to star that you can kind of bunch together, and they wrestle very similarly. But Toa Leona feels more and more like a little bit of an outlier in modern wrestling. You know, and he's kind of a throwback. And this match was honestly a throwback. This was old school wrestling TV. You know, the babyface killing a heel monster that's associated with the guy's heel rival, like, and they beat the hell out of each other. Toa had a busted mouth at the end, right? They were physical in there. Hangman always brings it in that regard. So when you put him with a big man, like, yeah, it's gonna be magic. This is my favorite thing on the show, honestly. And the main event was really good, and we'll get to that. It was really fun too. But this was like, yeah, this felt like some old school like TV main event of you from yesteryear. You know, it was just classic pro wrestling situation.
Bro, I can't underrate the last couple of months that Hangman Page has had as well, bro. Like this whole like character and demeanor shift thing where he's just like, yo, I'm pissed off and an ass kicker all the time. Like, this is some of my favorite stuff in wrestling in years and years. I every time Hangman's on TV, he's gonna fucking bring it now. I love this shit. I'm so happy he's not doing any more sad boy shit.
Yeah.
He's very locked in right now. It's awesome.
He is, Charlie. He is, and I'm sure you enjoyed seeing him try and wrangle Toa Leona, as Joe said.
It went a bit longer than I thought it would, but every time I was just like, well, this is the closing stretch. Toa Leona had some awesome reversal for whatever Hangman was trying to do. I was like, fuck, okay, we're still going. But no, I really like this match. I think Toa Leona looked great here, and Hangman always looks great when you give him matches like this. And the thing that really stood out to me, Toa Leona made Hangman look small. And Hangman's not a small guy. Like, it's very impressive for someone to be able to do that. So, yeah. You guys pretty much nailed it, though. This match was pretty beast. I want to see Toa Leona wrestle pretty much anyone they'll throw at him now, to be honest.
And Hangman hit him with the dead eye.
Yes, and he just bounced back up.
He got
up and
fucking
headbutted him.
God,
Oh my
man.
God. I popped huge on the watch along for that.
Mhm.
I thought that was match. I was like, yeah, it's over.
This is before I go any further. I want to know. This is a long time away. What I'm about to suggest, but the idea of eventually the Mogul Embassy turning on Totally Owner and him being like this wild, unhinged babyface chasing after Swerve Strickland. Now, again, folks, long time away. But it's the kind of thing, if you told that like a Wardlow style story with that, I think the people would get with that. This fella wrestles in a way that I think people are ready to cheer. You know, like there is just a raw energy and intensity that dude. Now, is he the cleanest worker? No, but that's the appeal, right?
Mhm.
He feels like he's just making shit up. He just, let's do a moonsault. Fuck it, you know, and that's the beauty of it, man. It's
A
wild,
little
man.
bit of like a more polished version of him is like a Jacob Fatu almost.
Yeah.
You know, like in terms of like explosiveness and even like some of the moveset, you know, like literally, especially last night, literally like the moonsaults and shit, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, as Joe mentioned, I think there is quite a lot of there's potential there, Joe, in the big man.
Well,
There's
the
potential
opposite would be, you know, because they love Swerve already. The idea when you're ready to break Swerve away from Prince Nana and make him a babyface, maybe Toe is the one that kills Swerve, and that becomes Prince, like, you know, lead, you know, wrestler. So there's, again, this is all stuff that's way down the line. We need to see him in more singles matches before you start doing that kind of angle. But I just think there's something there, and that's not a slight at Bishop Khan, who I think a lot of. Actually, I think Bishop Khan's got a lot of potential also. But man, there's something there. I think there's a physical charisma that jumps off the page.
Absolutely. But yeah, really good showing for him. First time he's pinned in AEW, I believe, as well. So
Yeah.
and you know, of course, like with Swerve setting him up with this match, of course, Totally Owner had to come off strong. But again, thought it was worth emphasizing just how good of a job Hangman did with this and just making him look like fucking Prime Umaga for like a majority of this match, you know. So yeah, good performance on both sides, you know. Alright. Nicholas. Is it Nick? Yeah, it's Nicholas Lee Jackson and
Mhm.
Matthew Ron John Jackson. The Young Bucks have arrived to the
Two
arena.
professionals.
They arrived to the arena, suited and booted in a limo, greeted by one of the crew members who this just incompetent member of staff calls them Nick and Matt. And they were livid with this. So, you know what this staff member got? He got a fine, Joe Hulbert.
Mhm.
And it must be paid by the end of the day. But yeah, man, they're just kind of walking around, swaggering around, you know. Like, I don't know. How would you even describe it? How do you even describe it? It's popping me though, Charlie. It's popping me.
Mm-hmm. It's very, very funny. It hasn't lost its appeal yet for me. It will probably last longer for me than a lot of people, anyways. But they're leaning into how ridiculous it is. But like, it's not overtly like, oh my god, we're taking shots at people. So I don't know. I'm very much enjoying it. Nicholas Lee and Matthew Ron John Jackson, fucking incredible. That's their shoot middle names as well. It's very funny.
What, Ron John's a shoot?
Yes, that's in the book, bro.
What's it? Matthew Ron John Massey.
Yeah.
Is his name.
Whoa.
Oh, brother. Hey, take it easy.
What's this Massey talk? What is this?
Is this the Observer? What the fuck's going on here, bro?
You call him by his God-given name.
The birth certificate.
The fuck?
Bro, I thought they were gonna pull out like fake birth certificates yesterday.
Oh,
They had like a sheet of paper in the hand,
Mhm.
so like I thought that's what it was gonna be. But
They're full
Yeah.
goatees now as well. We've evolved from the
Yeah.
mustaches, which I will
Bro,
say is an improvement.
Is Matthew's goatee painted on? What the
It's something.
That shit is painted on.
yeah,
What a beast.
Uh,
Oh my
think-
god.
I think it's, if you can't tell people, we're quite enjoying this Young Bucks this what do we call it, character arc that they're going on right now. Joe, we was talking about like how it could potentially spiral into something quite dangerous, in terms of quality.
Mhm.
Haven't got there yet. It's still, it's still fun getting our pops in.
Yeah. Well, it's like they had 2 segments this week, but none of these segments are long.
Mhm.
So I actually have enjoyed them all, but even if these were things that I wasn't into, like they're not
They
stopping
don't
the whole
overstay their
show.
welcome. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. It's like, and I do think what we on like week 3 of this now, whatever. I do think they are doing a good job of like walking that kind of tightrope of this makes sense even if you're not, aware of every single thing that's been reported about every wrestler ever, like it works in a vacuum, and obviously it has different context otherwise. So that's the key to me. So yeah, I like this, and it's also it's fun to see them doing something different, and it doesn't feel like they're overreaching for the sake of like reinvention, right? It still feels like something that suits their skill set and is natural for them. So yeah, I'm enjoying it for sure.
Yeah, man. Nicholas Lee, Matthew, Ron John.
There was a report that came out of the Bucks camp last night that Monty didn't aggregate for some reason. I don't know why, but a report from the Bucks camp. Sources are saying that Matthew and Nicholas are handing out fines backstage today. The locker room is embracing this new stern policy. One source noted it feels good to take a little accountability. You see how Matthew and Nicholas, they come back, they put their foot down, they put their boots down. The shows get better. There's less leaks out of the locker room. There's less nonsense. Nobody's attacking people backstage. Nobody's gotten bitten. It's just professionals going to work, putting on good wrestling television.
Hey.
Yep.
Well said by trying to think of a long name for AO. Adrian Oakley. Of WrestlePurists.
My God-given name.
Yeah.
Alright, let's go into super chats again. Keep them coming, people. We'll read them like throughout the Dynamite review. We'll try and do it as best as we can. Marcus Rashford, $5. He's had an interesting few days. Ayo, this bald wrestler with a mustache gave me this drink called tequila. Said you were friends. This stuff is amazing, innit?
Rashford scored, so I'm gonna give him a pass on this. Also, I didn't think you'd be in the same circles as Hulk Hogan. That's cool, bro. Hope y'all had a good time. Hulk Hogan, famously a better person than Dax Harwood.
Hold on.
That cough at the end. You said the whole thing and then coughed.
This is shocking. Shocking.
Famously a better person than Dax.
Yes. Dax, good friend of the channel.
Well,
he has been listing us among like
ESPN.
and
Yeah.
that is pretty cool. I think we can all agree on
I
that.
got much love for Dax, man.
Look, bro, the least that Mark can do is put us over.
Look, he owes us.
Yeah. Bro, Monty keeps going into the files, erasing shit, counting some votes, not counting the others, just to make FTR Tag Team of the Year. The least he could do is put us over, tag us on posts. You know what I'm saying?
The files.
That's the least he
Or
could
the
do.
WrestlePurists office, like.
Look, man, I'm just saying, if you count only the legal votes, some people are saying Young Bucks won Tag Team of the Year last year.
Showtime Spurs, $5. Kind of shocked that Hangman still doesn't have the crowd fully behind, though I think things are trending in the right direction. Swerve's just over as well, bro. So it's
and
tough in that
Samoa
regard.
Joe is in that picture. It's a be the baby face in a feud with two heels like Swerve and Samoa Joe is really difficult, especially when you've been a baby face the entire run of the promotion. Like, you may have to, you really may have to flip him and Swerve at some point, and I completely get why there'd be hesitance. I know, Charlie, you've been kind of leaning in that direction for a while, but it does feel like that's kind of a natural route here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cool heel problem's a real problem, and he's going against two cool heels right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's doing great though. I don't think.
Oh yeah,
fan
his
support's an
performance is
issue.
great.
There was dueling cowboy
Yeah.
shit and whose house, Swerve's house chants and shit. It's just Swerve's just.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
just,
monster
his
pop.
rise is just incredible.
it's just where the momentum is. Like in terms of performance, this is the most interesting and compelling Hangman's been in a long time because, as you
Right.
said, he's just simplified his game. He's now just an ass kicker, which is what I think a lot of us wanted. So yeah, it's not a reflection of him. It's just Swerve. A lot of people want it to be the champ, right? They're ready for it. So yeah, it happens.
Frank Aguilera, I believe I'm saying that right. $4.99. Appreciate you. Week 2 of my agenda of trying to get the first deposit over as the Boston show name.
I
Also,
don't hate it.
my name. I know. I think I'm not mad at it. It doesn't, like Joe said though, bro. It doesn't really matter as long as it makes some kind of sense.
Right.
You know.
It is though, like, and I'm sure other people have kind of cool names for this. I haven't got one, but like, when you're doing the money puns, like Okada, there's some you can do something with that. That could be pretty. That would be a wild TV episode to have both of those two come in on the same night. Like, and you could definitely brand it in a way that kind of works towards that. So
100%.
yeah.
Izura Hart, $10. Appreciate you as always. As a Phoenix native, I'm lit for next week. On that note, do you guys think maybe Deanna should win at Revolution? My name
Yes.
facing Tony could be okay, but it could also be horrible. 50-50 with this
Yeah.
gimmick. This is something we brought up a week or two ago.
I think last week's show maybe.
Yeah, we were talking about, obviously, I know everyone loves Tony at the moment, but the same issues that I feared she'd kind of have as being like the spearhead of the division. Of like, this is our embodiment of the division sort of thing. Like, Toni Storm is a gimmick now, and although she is a good in-ring worker, the gimmick obviously plays a big part of her in-ring work now, so it's not quite the same. So if you need like a nice transitional champion before you get it onto Mercedes, to avoid Mercedes doing all like the Toni Storm shtick and stuff like that, if you want to put the belt on her straight away, which honestly I think they should.
I think
put it on Deanna for like a month.
But they did just bring back the rankings. I guess they don't want to bury those immediately. But I think if they do a double turn here with Deanna and Tony, and Drew like make this Mercedes chase into a real story, I think we're cooking with gas here.
That's the play.
And I don't need
this
to be elongated or anything like that, but
yeah, the Tony thing too is like you don't have to sacrifice what Tony's doing. You can just her and Mariah can pivot off into their own thing,
right?
Yeah,
without having the belt. Because again, like I just think it would be a mistake to immediately put Mercedes in what at core will have a lot of comedy in it. It's like Mercedes title program should feel like a major, big time prize fight.
Right.
Now, is Deanna at a point as a star where that's natural? No, but she's a lot easier to like, push up in that way and promote that way because you can promote her as this technical wrestler. And again, is it perfect? Not necessarily. I do think it's way more natural than Tony, than Timeless Tony. That's not a reflection of Tony as a wrestler. It's just, as you said, the gimmick.
I could do like, Bryan Danielson, everyone who wrestles him, it's like, see who the best wrestler is in the world and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could try to play that off with Deanna as well. You got Deanna and Mercedes fighting for a belt. You could definitely go down that route. You could sell that. Whereas, as mentioned, if you do it with Tony, although I know some people may even think Tony's better in ring when she's like fully locked in and not doing so much gimmick stuff. It's a hard sell at the moment because it's so comedic and it's like, that's what people want to see Tony do as well. I'm not saying Tony should switch anything she's doing right now. I'm just not sure if her being the spearhead of the division, the leader of the division, the example of the division is quite the right choice at the moment from when you're looking to have Mercedes come in.
If we're getting ahead of ourselves, I think it's very apparent, if indeed that she's coming back, somewhat soon. It is very apparent that the thing that you should have locked in ahead of your women's division, you need to, by the time you get to Wembley, it needs to be Mercedes and Jamie. Yeah. And more specifically, by the time we get there, that should feel like the main event match. We're being real.
Yeah, with like Jamie having like the world behind her and like Jamie should be built up to that point as well.
You can promote both parts of that main event match, you know, with our like coming over here and doing the press here, and like that to me that's where you're like going. So to me, the getting the belt on Mercedes is almost just like, you know, that's like the box you just got to tick to get in that direction, because that's if you promote that correctly, I think that is like a monster match. I genuinely could you imagine Mercedes working heel at Wembley Stadium, like leaning into the reaction, how much fun she'd have with that?
Yeah.
Like, that's blockbuster. That's as good as it gets to me. So yeah.
Honestly, I might just have Tony retain, say she's want to do an open challenge in 2 weeks, and just have Mercedes come in and kick her ass.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the thing with
I
Mercedes
prefer that
is
to a program between the two, to be honest.
I think we're all with Mercedes at this point. It's like the beauty of her as a signing is it's when she's actually in the game, right? It's like we're having a fun time talking about all these possibilities, but the real fun is going to be hopefully in a few months when we're coming into these Thursday reviews, and it's like there was a Mercedes TV main event this week, there was a title defense in the open. That's when things are going to really pick up, because once the bell rings, her value will increase, you know. So getting the belt on her, as you said, you can do that on night one for me. I'm fine with that. She can wrestle everyone in that division. It'll be interesting. So yeah.
Mazfan 84 199, appreciate it. Odds on Okada wrestling in Bucks' gear on AEW TV. I mean, a non-zero chance, but I don't think he would actually do it. You know?
Yeah, I don't think he would actually. The trios is definitely happening. All three of them have spoken about how they want that, but in the gear, I don't think so.
He might get something matching. He won't actually wrestle in that gear. It'd be funny though.
Bruh, 499, appreciate you. Need Nick to match Matt's level of dickishness in these segments. I think they play off each other pretty well.
Yeah. Nick's never really been the promo guy, so.
Yeah, like I said, I think they play off each other pretty well at the moment. So, Will Chisholm, $2, appreciate it. Is Okada to lock to AEW like how Mercedes is? As of right now, today, as of what we're aware, no. Although he's a favorite, although AEW is the favorite to land Okada, it's not as it's not as, I know what Mercedes, as far as we know or can officially report, we don't know she's signed for AEW as of right now. But in terms of momentum, it's like anyone you ask, it's like, you know, it's pretty much as done of the deal as they can say it is, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas Okada, again, although AEW is the favorite to land him, it's not quite the same level of confidence, although there is still strong confidence, you know. And I think PW Insider said, and everyone knows that they're really great with the WWE scoops, and it was something along the lines of, if WWE and Okada have had conversations that weren't very extended, you know, I know Sean reported earlier this week as well that WWE and Okada have had conversations, but even in that same report, I think Sean was like, you know, AEW are the favourites and they're very confident, etc., etc. So, not quite the same as Mercedes, but the feeling is they are very confident as well. And it doesn't seem like WWE are going to fight like super strong for him, you know. So it makes more sense as well, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
For him,
I agree.
For the companies as well. I think Okada is, even though I do think AEW would be more willing to pay more for Okada than WWE would, but I think he's worth more to AEW than he is to WWE, because their audience already know him. They already perceive him as a star. Me and Joe have had this conversation like 5 times over the past couple of months, but it's like Okada would have to like work pretty much from the ground up in WWE and get over again. And even if he gets over, are they going to see him as like the Rainmaker? You know, like are they? You know, they might just see him as like, you know, even when Shinsuke got super over, he never quite got there. You know,
he was never really the king of strong style in WWE.
Although when he was hot, you know, like when he won the Rumble, everyone was expecting to win at Mania, and when he didn't win at Mania, that was really deflating, you know. So
that one report, I don't remember where it came from. It might have been PW Insider, but there was one report that was like, basically where they're at is either Tony Khan gives Okada generational wealth and he accepts it, or Okada just wants to be a WWE superstar. Like it's like he has to choose. They're just like, yeah, WWE is absolutely not gonna match whatever offer AEW gives them. And they're still working with like this. Oh well, hopefully he's a mark mentality, which is crazy to me. I thought that would die with Vince, but thankfully it hasn't.
Hey man, we'll see where he ends up. But it seems like most people's guess would be AEW for Okada.
Yes.
So Jizzle, $5. Appreciate you as always. Mercedes versus Jamie, main event in Wembley would be the most don't talk about it, be about it move TK could do. I mean, quite the move for him to do, definitely. And if built correctly, that definitely has main event of Wembley potential, I think. The AEW fans love Jamie Hayter. And I think a program with Mercedes, as I think Joe mentioned earlier when we were talking about all the new wives Mercedes could bring to AEW. He's like, Jamie impresses under those. It just has to.
And what a story too, right?
Yeah.
Jamie working back towards the Wembley show she missed. Like, you tell that story correctly, that's a monster. I'm convinced of it. And I think it's a hot take. I think I think
she had her figures made and everything for that show. She was ready to go.
Yeah, and in terms of I say this with all respect to Will Ospreay, Jamie Hayter, I think, is someone I'd be a lot quicker to be sending to do national media.
Yes,
because bless Will, but I don't think that would be his bag. So
I need the Billy Goat on the morning TV circuit.
Oh my god! Imagine him talking to Lorraine about Graps. God bless. That'd be fucking hilarious.
Wow. Yeah, that'd be something. That would definitely end up being like a viral clip of someone saying something they shouldn't on TV, but God bless.
Fucking spills beans on his pants, bro.
Oh my god, can you imagine if they send him to loose women?
Someone said, what's the bloody update on Jamie Hayter anyway? Been gone too long.
No one knows.
Bro, no one knows. I think Charlie always says, Charlie and I always test this, bro. Every now and again, I'll be like, what's going on with Jamie Hayter? And anytime any of us ask around, it's kind of just like, there's even no update or no update that they can give, sort of thing.
Yes.
So who knows? That could mean really bad, or that could mean she's going to be back in the next month or something. You know what I mean? Who knows what that could mean? It could mean anything. So
they've been silent about Jamie since she went out. I don't know if anyone else did, but I never even got confirmation on what she injured, what the injury actually was.
It was
all I heard. Yeah, that's why I'd heard back and shoulders, so it could be both. I don't know. I just hope she's back soon, bro. I miss Jamie Hayter so bad.
I might be imagining this, but I think there was one update where people were like, Jamie Hayter's progressing nicely or something. Would AEW expects her back soonish or something like that?
Tony Khan said something like Jamie will be back. He was just kind of flippantly saying it though. We weren't this is an update on Jamie Hayter. He was he was kind of talking about. I think he was talking about people coming back from injury or how stacked the division is, and he was like, "Yeah, Jamie Hayter soon as well." And I think that might have been at the World's End. Media scrum or something. But
I would like to know. I very seldom respond to the chat like this, but this feels important. I'm not being elitist in my dismissal of Will Ospreay. He's literally from the exact same region as me. He just is. He has quite colourful language, and that was my point. I wasn't going for the dude's accent. He literally has the same one as me. So I would like to note that.
I mean, even Will in the past has been like, oh, this whole no swearing thing, I'm gonna have to get used to this.
Yeah, that was what I was getting at. I wasn't talking about the dude's accent. That would be hilarious coming from me. He's literally from the same fucking place as me. So, and the reason he shouldn't be on is the same reason I just said fuck. So anyway, proceed with his program, Monty.
Happily. Wardlow.
Oh.
Wardlow defeats Commander. And these Wardlow matches recently have been kind of interesting in the sense that you would expect with the way they've been presenting him outside of the matches that these would be squashes, but they're not. He kind of goes out there and wrestles around a bit, and he will take the majority of the match, but there'll be a little bit of shine, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. So, even though Wardlow dominated, Commander did get some offense in there, and I guess the story coming out of the match is as Wardlow was delivering the final powerbomb to Commander, his right knee just gave out on him, bro. And he didn't fully fall with him or anything like that, though. He kind of stumbled back and finished giving the powerbomb, finished the match, pinned him 1, 2, 3. And you could see it on his face immediately after the match, man. It was brutal.
Yes.
I think he mouthed "fuck" like
Yes,
Yeah.
he did.
whilst he was on hard cam as well. So that was quite the indication, but it was legitimate, you know. But even when you watched it, like the GIF I posted on the WrestlePurists account, because it's in kind of like slow enough motion, you can tell that his knee just legitimately does just give out from under him. I think on Wrestling Observer Radio earlier on today, last night in American time, Brian Alvarez said that Wardlow did a tweet like, you know, my knee's fine or something like that, and Wardlow was like, basically, we've heard that isn't the case. They're worried that it might be a meniscus tear or something like that, but it isn't as bad as feared, you know. So we'll have to wait and see really what's going on with Wardlow, because this would be another injury in the same storyline, which would be very unfortunate for said storyline. Charlie, what's up?
I was just, the chat reminded me that the announcer botched and called him Mr. Wardlow last night, and it just got me giggling again.
Wait,
It's
who's the
Ward?
so unfortunate.
You not catch it, Joe? No, the announcer, bro. When she was announcing it,
the
she
ring
was
announcer.
like,
She was like, Mr. Wardlow. Oh, Mr. Mayhem.
Was it Justin or was it Dasha?
No, it was
"Oh,
Dasha.
Dasha."
It was Dasha.
Yeah. Mr. Mayhem.
Yeah, I would like to
Your
call
answer to that
clarify.
question
I
would've-
wasn't laughing about Wardlow being injured. I was just laughing about the
No,
Mr.
yeah.
Wardlow.
Yeah.
I could just see
Bro, what
Charlie
a series of
cracking up in the
unfortunate
corner. I was like,
events.
"Is she okay?"
First, Wardlow has to follow Toa Leona. Then he gets called Mr. Wardlow. Then he wrestles like Marco Wardlow, and then he gets injured. It's just the hits just keep coming.
Yes, unfortunate. But
It's quite the unfortunate turn of
yeah, Joe,
events.
this MJF Devil storyline. The
Okay.
devil's injured. MJF's injured, and now it looks like
MJF's
the heavy for the devil is also injured. It's fucking brutal, mate.
Yeah, it's like, you know, before we go any further and into the match and all that, I was like, obviously we hope Wardlow's okay. I mean, that was a weird one too, right? Those ones almost scare you more, right? That was like, so yeah, hopefully Wardlow's okay. But this whole thing is like, this needs some help, I feel. You know, this feels like such an unimportant part of the show. And Adam Cole.
Get Adam Cole off TV, bro. You can't be wheeling him to the fucking ring. That's crazy.
I completely get what their logic is. Cole is a good promo. Let's keep him on TV and let him be. But the visual, I just think, is really bad for what they're trying to achieve.
Clutching around the arenas, wheeling to the ring. It's crazy, bro. Like, I'm supposed to be taking y'all seriously. Your leader's crippled.
Yeah, he isn't, to me anyway, he isn't getting like chicken shit heel heat out of it either, of like, oh, they can't get to him because he's protected. Like, he's just kind of, I don't know. It's a tough one. Yeah. What with when
and Doc Sampson was like, you can't touch him, he's not cleared. Like, they did it once.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, mate. It's
not quite
the act
off.
needs some help. I mean, I don't think any of us are
giving
surprised.
the main event here, is it?
No, I don't think any of us are surprised by that. And obviously the Max not being around, like the whole thing is just, it's very, very difficult to navigate. I don't know what the right answer is. There probably isn't one. It's probably just a question you should have never asked to begin with. But yeah, it's tough. The match itself, I thought had like some nice bursts. When Wardlow would like catch him with a big counter. But I don't seem to quite know how Wardlow should be wrestling in this role. And it has to be said, and a lot of this isn't even his fault. We talk about it all the time about the way they killed his his momentum, but it is crazy the crowd's reaction to the way he currently wrestles compared to what he used to be. Like, it's actually jarring, like he's out there like taunting and flexing, and the people are just kind of just sitting there. It's weird. So yeah, the presentation isn't working. And then I think they need to like figure out kind of what this should look like until MJF's back. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully they do figure it out because they're gonna have to go to the drawing board again if Wardlow's gonna have to be out of action, 'cause yeah. And obviously after the match, they tried jumping Commander, all of them, and then Orange Cassidy and Roppongi vote, yeah. Rocky was out there. Yeah, they made the save, and obviously that's just kind of continuing to build this Roddy Orange feud that's leading to this title match at Revolution. All right, Ricky Starks, Big Bill, Sting, Darby Allin, sit down interview, and Starks is basically he's still sour about Sting beating him all those years ago, Joe. What did you make of this sit down interview?
I liked it an awful lot, mate. It reminded me of why I liked this Big Bill Ricky Starks thing to begin with, and unfortunately, that has that's been forgotten because of honestly a lot of brutal circumstances that their title reign has incurred. Like it's been a ride, right, to say the least. So I was kind of watching this and just reminded, I think they're a really good act. I think they've made the most of their time together. I don't think it's going to be something that lives long, much longer than this. But yeah, I think this setting helps Ricky. I think he's better in this environment than he is out there with a live mic, actually, Darby Allin has improved steadily as a promo. I think we've kind of seen that. And Big Bill has got he's got a personality, right? He's a fun TV character. So I thought this was really good. And it's the kind of segment, I know they hate doing them because they like to kind of be in the building and live. I think there's a belief that these are bad for ratings, but I really think these promos are very, very valuable when you're just selling a fight. I thought I left this more excited for the match, and I don't think that's like a complicated formula, but I'd like to see more of this, honestly. Whenever they do it, it generally is good TV. I think this was no different.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I do like AEW sit downs in most cases, to be honest, if it's with the right people. But yeah, Charlie, this how you won the tag match next week anymore?
I was going to say, I needed more selling on it. But yeah, no, it did. I really do think Big Bill was, the standout here. I remember at the Full Gear press conference when he was, answering questions and that, he was the standout there as well. When Big Bill's given mic time in, these sit-down situations, it just really suits his current character. It's very funny. But, no, I really enjoyed this. I think that they've done a good job building for this match, considering we all kind of anticipated it, but it's only been a thing that they announced last week. So, but yeah, I'm very excited about it. I hope that they draw a good house for Phoenix because Sting's last chance to get a title, man.
It is, man. Big Bill, Ricky Starks, quite the mountain to climb. Big Bill, of course, He's very big as an actor,
Yeah.
Whoa. But yeah, Big Bill, man, he's been quite the revelation, hasn't he?
I like Big Bill a lot. I didn't think much of him. I wasn't watching WWE during the Enzo and Cass era. I wasn't really so I didn't know what they had going on. I didn't really get it. I didn't care. And then he hit the Indies and was just a raging lunatic at the time and was obviously not in a good place. I was like, yo, this dude fucking sucks. And then he was in TNA and he came back looking like a 6'8", or no, he's 7 foot. He's a shoe 7 footer. How can I forget fucking Enzo promo? But he was looking like a 7 foot edge, bro. Just on all the fucking trend in the world, shredded up.
I'll never
hair
forget
just
that.
Flowing. Bro, when he came back,
that couple of months. I remember, like you said, obviously he wasn't in a great place, and he spoke about that, and there was that picture of him after he got released from WWE where he was in really bad shape, man. He had a real gut on him, proper protruding out. He was a side picture as well. It was a really unflattering image of him, to be honest. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, you see him pop up. I think it was MLW or something, and he's just jacked as fuck. It was like, whoa, Big Bill. Mate, he was still Cass then. Cass XL.
Cass XL was crazy.
And then he came in
he came into AEW as W Morrissey. I was just like, bro, that's one of the worst wrestling names I've ever heard in my life, bro. But thank God they went with that Big Bill thing. But yeah, he's gone from someone I didn't give a fuck about to someone I really enjoy. I like him a lot as a television act. I didn't really care about this match. Like, obviously, I'm always happy to see Darby and Sting wrestle. Big Bill's great, you know. That about covers it. I didn't really care about the match though, but I was excited to see Sting get a title, as we all assumed that was gonna happen. But they've sold me on it now. Like, I like the callback to Sting's first match. Like, Ricky brought up how Sting's first match in AEW was the Team Taz cinematic match. I did enjoy that match a lot. I think they would have done them a service to talk about that more during this build. But we're here now. I'm excited for the match. I think it'll be serviceable. Hopefully they do the right thing and Sting goes over. Yeah.
It feels like there's an extended cut of this out there somewhere, right? They should try and post this. It felt like this was
they
like
should get that on YouTube or Twitter.
Yeah,
probably.
Yes.
But yeah, man, we'll see. Oh, well, judging from what the Young Bucks seem to be cooking later on in the show, who knows if Sting's actually going to get his belt, man? Who knows? But we'll get to that. Chris Jericho versus Kyle Fletcher singles match, and we kind of spoke about this briefly before the show. And Jericho did not look great here, and I think I might have said it on one of my private accounts, but like even in the context of like everyone kind of feeling weird about him at the moment, I know, well, some do, some don't. Feeling weird about him at the moment. Even if you try and remove that context, it's like he still just did not look great at all out there last night. And I think, Joe, you made the point when we was talking privately, like, you know, he's seemed like he had a long time, and he had a few long nights on that Jericho cruise, you know, doing who knows what. And he looked like he was feeling it out there, Joe.
He sure did. Yeah, this was not very good, right? This was
No.
And this again was what? How long? Do we know how long this thing came in at? Because this was like
too long.
It felt like a while. Yeah,
Cage match. He's a great
It was like 12 minutes.
Honestly, beyond the performances, like this just wasn't really very interesting TV because they've already booked Jericho's match for next week, and it's just like
exactly.
It's a stopgap for Chris Jericho in 2024. Like, who needs? You know, like there are some guys who their value is you want to see them wrestle as much as you can, so you'll accept like Dragon wrestled Cole Fletcher a few months ago, and we all know Dragon was going to win, but it was like I'll take any Dragon match.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's Jericho's value now, even if you still want him on the TV show, right? Like just wrestling 12, 30-minute matches for the sake of it.
Just clocked in at 13 and a half minutes.
Yeah, and again, whatever you think of Chris Jericho, and I understand all of the many, varied reactions to that, it was very apparent that this was like a Jericho who was not feeling particularly, like he looked worn down by the time they got to that finish line. And the irony is the actual finish itself was actually pretty neat, right? They actually had a cool finish up their sleeve. It was the route to that finish that was their issue. So, yeah, this storyline, to say it needs to end would be like an insane understatement. Yeah, like this thing is, we've been saying that for months and months and months. So,
yes.
I don't even know what they're really like. Well, I do think I know what they're waiting for, so I'll leave that there. I didn't like the match very much.
Yeah, I think I know what they're waiting for. We talked about him earlier. Oh, it's very unfortunate, isn't it? This kind of sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. This wasn't.
Chuck and Lexi, they were in shambles last night on the watch along when Jericho pinned Fletcher. And I was like, guys, there's no way y'all thought Fletcher was going over here, bro. They've already booked.
No, I said on stream that I was expecting shenanigans, and they didn't even fucking do that. They just let Jericho win. I was like,
it's kind of crazy. Yeah, it's very interesting.
A champion, by the way.
Even if you're able to ignore all the shit that Jericho has going on in his personal life right now, he's like, I said this on stream last night. Like, even if you do ignore all of that, you just don't know about it. He's actively bad television. Like, this shit sucks. Then you put on the other stuff on top of that, and it's just like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? I don't really want to watch this shit, bro. Need a break from Jericho. They need to dissolve this Jericho shit immediately.
Mhm.
I don't know. Maybe we'll get Ospreay versus Takeshita out of this somehow. But even then, it's just like
At what cost? You know.
yeah. At what cost? At what cost do we get that
17
match?
years of
Yeah, speaking of shit, I don't want to see those TikToks of Chris Jericho's performances on the Jericho
yeah.
Cruise.
Oh, those are crazy.
Just
And it's him putting
what the fuck, man?
I don't need it to see anything on that cruise. Like, God bless, keep it on the cruise, keep it at sea, bro.
No, not God bless. No.
No, it's not what I didn't mean like that, but it's fucking awful, isn't it?
Just pack it in, you know.
Oh God, I can hear it in my head, you know.
God was not with them on that cruise. Yeah,
But the weekend one's definitely the worst clip, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
like,
I
it's
said this to you
the
guys
visual
before, like-
of the Bowie one is like, I don't know.
like
So
he
the way I,
looks
like,
so out of it singing. Like,
we were discussing this earlier, and it's like the Bowie one is unfortunate in about every which way, but it's like you know that Bowie's one of Chris's heroes. So even if it's like greatly insulting, at least that you get like he's trying to do like an. But if he like the only reason he would sing The Weeknd is if he thinks he sounds good doing The Weeknd. Like
No, he did not. He did not.
everything about that video is like great. Like just like looking at people in the background and shit. Like it's just wild,
Just
man. It's a wild
fever-dream.
time.
Did y'all see the picture of him in the Jer Show trunks?
yes,
That was
By the
fucking
way,
He really is just quite
That was
shambolic
fucking
at the moment, isn't it? You know.
we have to say though, bless big tall Paul. Oh, good God, man! It's actually like
Oh,
I feel so bad
yeah.
for him. Like that video, everyone was focusing on Jericho, but like Paul he's the way he
Can't walk.
walks is crazy. I'm a fan. Like it honestly is like a genuine shame. Like
yeah.
dude's he's moving like Andre did when he was older, right?
hmm
I don't know what everyone's laughing at. I'm gonna hope it wasn't saying that I said about Paul White. 'Cause
No,
I meant
no,
that
no.
sincerely. Okay, good. Because
I
I wish
No,
I
Paul
was
it's-
laughing
it's-
at someone too. It's fine.
He's in
Okay.
an unfortunate state right now. Jer Show in
He is.
general is in an unfortunate state.
Jericho.
Bro, like
Oh,
Chris Jericho, bro, like you could tell that he's just not having a great time right now. You know, maybe you take him off TV, tell him to get his life together. Maybe this is the opportunity you got.
Yeah,
But-
that would be good
Please,
for everyone.
God.
I think. Yeah.
This whole thing's not gonna end well whatsoever.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's quite the It's just not good television. Like I always said, even without the context of everything that's going on behind the scenes and public perception and stuff like that, and you know, it's just not good television, man. It's just,
no.
you know. Showtime Spurs $5. Now you guys have me thinking about what Eddie Kingston would be like on Graham Norton.
That would be fucking awesome.
See, I actually think Eddie would pop. I think the British public because he's like such a
Yeah,
ridiculous,
definitely,
you know,
yeah.
like. Yeah, I think that would be Graham Norton call is because on Graham Norton's show, if anyone doesn't know, it's a talk show where they all sit next to each other as well, the celebrities.
Yes.
So that means you're opening the door to some godly interactions there,
Oh
you know.
my God.
King sitting next to Robert Downey Jr.
Someone's poor British grandmother's just thinking, "Oh yeah, this is the average American.
Yeah.
It's just the average American right here."
Roaches and $5 appreciate. Yeah. Do y'all think whenever Jamie comes back, Britt returns with her?
Absolutely not.
No.
Nope. Roaches and $5 appreciate. It. Did Bullet Club Gold forget they started a storyline with Adam Cole's faction and never said anything about it?
I was going to bring this up because the whole point of the super faction was so that they could face the Undisputed Kingdom, and they're just like, yeah, no, we're going to do comedy segments in the ring instead. And it's like, sick.
Hey. Shows on Spurs $2 appreciate it. Big Bill is what they wanted Wardlow to be. I wouldn't say quite, but I kind of get what you get.
I
He's a lot
think they
taller,
wanted
you know?
Wardlow to be a future world heavyweight champion, and I don't think that's ever going to happen for Big Bill in AEW. But he's much better television.
I like him more. They definitely do feel like slightly different archetypes, right? Like Wardlow was in that, like they wanted to create like a Goldberg
Yeah.
kind of thing. And to be fair, they came like dangerously close until they until they like stopped themselves. So yeah, they're different. But I am a big Bill fan. That was a hilarious sentence I just said. Wrestling.
That's an 84, 199. Darby and Sting may be one of the best tag team runs ever.
It has been beast, honestly.
Yeah, it's been very good. I don't know if it's been one of the best ever. You know,
I'll say this for it. When people used to pitch Sting and Darby Allin as a tag team, I remember thinking it was like the dumbest idea ever. Like, why would Sting be like? It didn't make any sense to me at all. But people used to say, to be fair, this is when I didn't realize Sting would be wrestling. It was like Sting should manage Darby Allin. It's like, why? You know? And in execution, their dynamic has been stunning. Like,
Yeah.
they feel completely natural with one each other. Like, you actually buy they have like a personal relationship, which is kind of wild, really. And I think it speaks to how kind of Sting is so like easygoing. He can kind of feel like that alongside anyone, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like again, Ever's obviously a thing, but it's one of AEW's biggest triumphs. Their usage of Sting is one of the great things that they've done ever. Like what they've done for that dude's legacy is really, really cool. Like genuinely. So yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I was gonna say what Joe basically just said. I don't know about the best tag team runs ever, but it's definitely one of the best things that AEW has ever done. And say what you want about AEW, they've done a lot well. But Sting and Darby, they really do like each other in real life. Darby changes with Sting in his locker room. They travel together, so like they're as close as they are in real life as they come across on TV, which I think is great. Hopefully, Sting stays around after he retires from in ring.
Absolutely. Sting's attitude to modern wrestling is like, it's honestly stunning how little he's kind of, like how happy he is to just kind of embrace the game and the way it's evolved, you know? Like, it's wild. It really is.
Have you guys seen that they've made the tag match a tornado tag for next week? I've just remembered that. Talking about
I didn't see that.
Tornado tag in Arizona.
So, do you think that's just what Sting's going to do now? Like, do you think that's what the Bucks match will be, or because that's now the last one was too, right?
Yeah, I very much the Young Bucks just do a traditional like tag match. Sting and Darby.
Yeah, I do think it's a lot easier to put together a Bucks traditional tag match with them, because they can just be bumping heels. Whereas like Big Bill and Ricky, especially Big Bill, you know, it's like it's a little bit more. Yeah, I think Tornado will be interesting. Tornado tag generally has suited Sting very well in AEW.
Willie 199, appreciate you. Jericho's got to go at this point. Addition by subtraction. Yeah, probably right. Will Chisholm $5, appreciate you. Jericho always gets in storylines with people who are hot, so we know his next feud is suave.
Oh God, don't even speak that.
I simply will not allow that to happen, so you don't have to worry about it.
Absolutely not.
I won't allow that to happen.
We'll make some calls. Don't worry about it.
Alright, let's keep the super chats coming, people, as we continue this AEW Dynamite review. And where did we get to? Jericho versus Fletcher. Jericho got the win. Takeshita came to the top of the ramp, had a little stare down with Jericho as well. They're going to face each other next week. Hopefully Takeshita deals with him. That's another thing with all this as well. So Jericho's the baby face, and it's like... Anyway, we're moving on from Jericho. Deonna Purrazzo. She kind of just spoke about the tattoos. They all mean something. She has one with Tony Storm. It symbolises that time in her career. And just talking about getting into the industry and getting to the top together, and just giving a little bit more background. And then we had a Bang Bang Scissor Gang segment. Two teams came to the ring, and as Charlie said, they kind of came to the ring and just kind of fucked around for a little bit. Bit of comedy, bit of What did this achieve?
I genuinely think that Wardlow getting injured meant that they had a couple of minutes they just needed to fill with something, and they were just like, yeah, they can go out and fuck around with the crowd, and that's what they did.
Yeah, and they brought out the rock hard juice board.
I think they're giving them some segments with each other to give that eventual Blade Runner a little bit more juice, that eventual turn.
Need it within the next 14 days. I'm
Right.
already over this, and I like
hopefully that happens in the next 2 weeks.
They didn't have Caster do his rap, which I found a weird choice.
Fuck.
No, Joe, you know me well enough to know that I'm not.
No, I get what you mean. The crowd loved it.
Yeah, I did find it quite weird that when he doesn't do it, because, as you mentioned, the crowd love it so much, and it's like, you know.
So I don't disagree. This had no real purpose, but I do think there's something to be said for just here are wrestlers you like popping themselves and having fun. I'm hesitant to say they should do more of it, but a live segment with some of your popular baby faces. I'm happy to have, especially when we talk about how many of the matches tonight we said that could have been a little shorter. It's I'm totally cool with this. And I also think sometimes having a live segment that doesn't have a big interruption or angle is good, because you kind of train the audience. Sometimes that can happen. I think every time someone gets a live microphone, there being an angle is kind of that I think is also an issue at times. So I didn't mind it. Could they have had something more interesting to say? Yeah, probably, but there was cardboard people and such. So.
Indeed.
Rock hard juice board.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how this all plays out. I think the eventual trios match, which we all expect, could probably be very good. Yeah, mate. Because I think Bowens and Max Caster, I think when they get put in positions to actually have an extended match, I feel like they kind of almost wrestle with a chip on their shoulder, especially Bowens. Yeah. I think you saw that quite a lot in the tag run before it kind of lost a bit of juice towards the end.
Yeah.
Because I think, remember, early in their tag run, a lot of people were saying that they were overachieving, because they were having really good title defenses and stuff. And I think a lot of it was just kind of birthed out of that, of them just kind of having a bit of a chip on the shoulder, especially considering the former tag teams that had held those belts before them. So, obviously they wanted to live up to the bar, and they did.
Whether you felt it was fair or unfair, they did get pigeonholed as just the entrance in a comedy act. I always felt highly about Bowens wrestling, especially as a singles act, though. But they definitely had that chip and was just we're good professional wrestlers, we're a good tag team, and they proved it. But then a lot of the trio stuff they had going on, where it was just TK would just find 3 shitters in catering. It was y'all got the claim tonight. It was a complete disservice to them, to the Acclaimed, to the fans, to the belts. Got ugly there for a second. But I like this new direction of the trios division.
I also do think Billy, while he's remarkable for his age, he kind of forced their matches have to be they wrestle much simpler matches with Billy, right? Because you have to because you have to include him. The people want to see Billy do his thing, but it does. I think it has stalled their development as wrestlers a touch, because they were trending very nicely as everyone's kind of laid out here. So, yeah.
I think people like seeing Billy, but I don't think there's that much of a demand for him in ring. People will pop for his hot tag because, of course, the build to it in the match, and it's Billy going pop, but I don't think there's that many fans out there. If you just book an Acclaim match, you're going to be we need Billy Gunn in this, and he can still come out with them, and he's done that many times.
Yeah, I was going to say, as long as he comes out with them, he'll be fine.
And he can still do a little thing on the outside where, I don't know, he gives he gives the heel a slap or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
He can still do things.
There's someone at ringside for almost every match. He would always have someone that could beat up on the other side, Everyone has an ally of some kind out there. So, yeah, I agree.
Okay, Diana Purrazzo wrestling this time. Taya Valkyrie. And, this match was all right. The crowd was kind of so throughout. But, another solid showing of Purrazzo's capabilities, I guess. Tony Storm was on commentary and was probably Tony Storm, which is kind of a awkward balance to find with her when she's on commentary because she ends up being the thing that people talk about the most coming out of the matches she commentates on, which obviously isn't ideal, although it's nothing against her as a performer. But that was kind of the story coming out of this match was Tony Storm on commentary. I think there was a moment where she claimed that somebody pissed on a seat when her and Deanna got face to face on the outside, which not many people caught this shit. But when Tony was like, "Someone's pissed on my seat," and the commentators are popping, Taz was like, "Yeah, Tony Schiavone struggles holding it in his old age."
I missed that completely. Wow.
Tony Storm's
Taz lost
it.
Yeah, she's very funny.
Taz really does enjoy Tony's.
As spiteful as some people on this channel got about Deanna coming into the women's division, I'm not going to point any fingers. All right, I feel like she's been a net positive.
I wonder who that was.
Yo, come on, bro. What is this? I think we glitched out there, guys. I think we glitched out there. Yeah, I think she's been a net positive to this division. This, like her being like a top star in the women's division or anything like that, or having extended women's titles run like with the big belt. I don't see that necessarily. But another week. Another no discourse, another AEW women's division bad discourse. I can't be mad at that. People are saying it's trending in the right direction. The division, I agree with them. I think there's like more emphasis put on it. I think there's more care put on it. They're getting their time and stuff like that. We're getting matches people want to see. We have Aminata versus Willow this Friday. We had 2 matches on Collision last week. We got to see Serena Deeb throw the ball around a little bit. I like where it's going in 2024. I hope they just keep this momentum going, especially with Mercedes coming in.
Yeah, man. It makes me laugh how like a lot of the personalities just people that they've had anyway, and it's almost staggering the difference in the perception of the division in recent weeks is just by kind of slightly maneuvering different talents that you already had around. It's like seeing Queen Aminata coming back from injury and her actually being used on TV, of course, is like it's been so good for having like film women's matches on the show and stuff like that. Thunder Rose is always someone that people, the AEW fans, have took serious from an in-ring point of view. So having her back and wrestle a couple matches, even though the last one wasn't great, but it's just good, to have her back getting reps again. Serena Deeb's back looking sharp. Already mentioned Queen Aminata, she's been really great. And Deanna Purrazzo, she's coming in as like a technician. Do you know what I mean? So of course her matches fit a certain mold as well. So it's like more a division that you can take serious now instead of obviously what it was kind of trending towards for basically most of last year. So
their women's division, they've had the horses to be a good division like 5, 6, 7 signings ago. It was just how they were used. But now the signings on top of their uses, it's starting to align in a positive direction.
Someone in the chat asked, and it wasn't a super chat, but you do send super chats. So what happens to Julia? She's injured, bro. She's injured.
Is she?
I'm sure that's a report that I've seen somewhere. She's got some sort of knock or something. I'll Google it at some point during the show when someone else is talking.
Fair enough.
Hush, we're not knowing Okada signed with a dub, or is he still decided? We kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but to reiterate, Okada is still deciding, but it is, it is AEW is the favorite, as the language reads. Yeah, AEW.
I'd be shocked to see him anywhere else.
Yeah, but he's not as close to a lock as Mercedes is, if that makes sense. But Mercedes is.
Well, according to Fightful, she's signed, sealed, and delivered.
Yeah, so it's pretty much as a done deal without like AEW have confirmed that Mercedes is signed with. Like, it's basically as confirmed as that. So, man, Okada, Mercedes, Julia Hart. I'll look into that in a minute. Deanna Purrazzo versus Taya. Anyone want to say anything about the actual match itself, Deanna versus Taya?
It was alright. I will say, like, I know it could be a little nicer to some of the matchmaking. Like, Anna and Tyre as a 1-2 punch is a little aggressive to me, but I
Mm.
think she did it. I think she handled it pretty well. To be clear, like Tyre's issue is more that she's just slowed down physically, right? Like you can see. But yeah, it was okay. To be clear, I don't know who the right opponent necessarily is, but like I will admit that when I saw this was where they were going out as a fan of doing her, I was like, good God, like it's not the easiest task, but I thought she did pretty well with it. So
Do agree. I like the way that Deonna's been presented. Like all of her gears look like she's got like pay-per-view gears on, which is really cool. They're making it seem like a big deal, and if you're slotting someone straight into a title program, that's what you've got to do. So I'm glad that they're taking the time to do that. And she's getting multiple segments on the show. As a woman in AEW, that's used to be very much a rarity. So
she is a great example of why we need, a range of promotions in wrestling, because being pushed as a top star in Impact has like been transformative for her. Like she used to look so nervous and shy on TV when she first got signed by WWE. Like, but she's now, and it's that thing of if you think you're a big deal, you're going to convince people you are one, right? And like now she handles it, she carries herself that way, and you can see how important it is. So I think that's why she's been able to kind of transfer to TV here in a way that's effective. So yeah, I agree completely. She's doing pretty good thus far.
Yeah, she is. She is strong start, man. Strong start. I think she's been handled pretty well as well from a booking point of view. I know it's easy to stay when you just get thrown into a world title picture, but still, there's a way to handle it,
Sure.
But yeah, Darby Allin backstage interview. What did Renee? Renee asked him something, but it didn't really matter anyway because the Young Bucks interrupt, and I think at one point they even picture trios with Darby Allin, and they asked Darby Allin why he's letting a 65-year-old man leech onto him and suck all the life out of him, and and he was like, let's cut to the chase. So Nicholas and Matthew want to know why Darby Allin has been ducking them. He hasn't been returning a text. He hasn't been answering calls or anything like that. And
what a fucking prick.
Darby said he's just focusing on the tag goal, brother. And then after Darby walked off, what was it that Nicholas Lee said?
I don't know. It was kind of ominous, though, right?
It was something like maybe
they're gonna have to get involved next week.
Yeah, so they basically hinted that they might have to get involved next week. So maybe they screw Darby over. I don't know, but that's definitely
not impossible, man. Like if they want Sting to win his last match, then that may be what they do, right? It might be a case of the Bucks. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have what I'd say. I'd be surprised. I'm still leaning towards they get the belts and the Bucks, then rest of them for the belts, but. I think it is definitely in play that they use this as like a detour to get to that match as a non-title match. But either way, obviously we're headed to the match. That's like that's pretty apparent. So it was a nice segment, though.
Yeah,
Bring the nice fucking belts into the match, bro. Let's not do this. Bring the belts into the match.
Yeah, I don't want to see Darby and Sting take a loss before Revolution. Because that kind of feels like you've fallen at the last hurdle. Why have you done that now? Like,
yeah, if I wouldn't have them wrestle for the belts unless they're winning them personally. But honestly, it is really as simple as like, what is the decision as to whether Sting's winning or losing his last match? Right? It's actually that simple at this point. Like, I don't. Obviously, this is breaking news, folks. I don't know Sting. But like, he honestly doesn't strike me as someone that would have a passionate opinion on it either way. I think he's pretty chill. And I could definitely see Tony Khan, with the way he views Sting, being like, no, you're winning your last match. And that's the only reason I could see maybe the belts aren't going to be involved after all. That's one thing I think is worth keeping in mind. So time will tell.
We shall see. Not long to go.
Yeah, we'll see how they handle it. Yeah. I'm looking forward to however they play it, though. All right.
Yeah.
Main event time. So Strickland is doing his dealer's choice match, picked by Hangman Adam Page, and he has picked Rob Van Dam. And as announced by Hangman Adam Page on the Titantron, whilst Swerve and Rob Van Dam are in the ring. It will also be a hardcore match, which of course is Rob Van Dam's bread and butter. So this kicks off with Rob Van Dam just beating the shit out of Swerve. Really threw a chair at him to start things off, and he kind of played a lot of his hits, Van Daminator, all those sort of things there. And yeah, man, Swerve took a bit of a beating in this one, but to say the least, nice to see Rob Van Dam hasn't changed.
Rob hit every one of his moves and then kicked
Every
out of
single one,
3.1. He kicked out of the finish at 3.1. What a fucking beast. He said, I ain't got a contract. Let me play, let me get out there. But he did. But look, if you're going to do it right. He looked sharp, didn't he? My goodness.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah, this was fun. Very, very fun.
Yeah, it was a good time, man. Charlie, what did you make of it?
I thought it was a hoot. It was a lot of fun. To be fair, when they said it was a hardcore match, and I saw that there was like 13 minutes left of the show and an overrun they had announced, I was like, fucking hell, are they really going to go for like 16 minutes in this match? Like, what's going on? But no, it was a great time. RVD looked incredible. Swerve looked incredible. And the match was a great time. The crowd was super into it as well. So, good times. Good main event.
Yeah, man, it's been quite successful whenever they've had Rob Van Dam on AEW, hasn't it? AO?
He was so fucking over last night, bro. That shit was crazy. I really enjoyed that match. I was genuinely thrown for a loop when they announced that it would be a hardcore match. Him hitting every single one of his moves was so beast. I haven't seen him get that kind of air on a Rolling Thunder since like 2009, bro. He was out there. He was ready to play. Fucking Swerve taking table bumps to the outside and shit.
Yeah.
That was inspired wrestling and inspired booking. I had a lot of fun with that match last night. I liked it a lot. I don't know where was this for Rob in like 10 years ago, bro? Because he looked like shit in TNA 10 years ago, bro.
And the one that was jarring was, remember when he had that like weird WWE comeback run?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
part of the issue was they didn't let him do matches like this. He was just wrestling WWE TV matches, but like he looked like Rob was like done, right? Like not physically so much as he just didn't, like his game didn't translate to being older. So I remember a few months ago, on a worldwide, I think it was someone sent a super chat about like Rob being in AEW, and I was like, fuck, that dude's been watched for 15 years.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Yeah, but he's funny to watch because between the moves, he does look fucked. But when he does the moves, he looks great. He looks great.
Yeah.
Saving it, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, Charlie, you enjoy this one?
Yeah, I've already said that. Thanks for asking again.
Charlie,
Good times.
Yeah. You for it to, it's because I bled into your intro, so you confused things. But
you did.
We all agree it was a hoot. It was a hoot. Rob hit all his moves. Rob, like, when he's just walking, looks like he's in a lot of pain, and then he'll do like the coolest thing you've ever seen a man of that age do. It's like, fuck, he's still got it. But yeah, no, this was a really fun TV main event. Absolutely.
It was. And yes, at the end of the show, after Swerve had finally defeated Rob Van Dam, Hangman comes to the ring, and they kind of cut promo. Well, they do straight up cut promos on each other. Hangman, in short, basically says he will never, as long as he believes, let Swerve get the AEW World Championship. Swerve was retaliated by basically saying that, Hangman, when are you just going to accept? I'll beat you twice. I don't need to prove nothing to you again, etc., etc. Goes to walk away and be dismissive of him. And Hangman, he must have touched a nerve because he said that every time Swerve has beat him, he's needed help to do so. And man to man, he knows deep down he couldn't beat Hangman. So they're running it back again. Hangman versus Swerve, number 3. And this time it is for the number 1 contendership for the AEW World Championship. Next week on AEW Dynamite, as it was announced at the very end of the show. So we'll start there as far as the announcements go. Swerve, Hangman, number 3. First 2 were tremendous. Don't think this is going to be any different, AO.
Not at all. Just 2 real professional wrestlers. 2 men that Monty should strive to be more like. 2 people that he needs to personally apologize to on this platform. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that eventually. But the Wrestle Dream match, I feel like it's under, not the Wrestle Dream match. What was it? Where's the first match at?
Yeah, it was Wrestle
Yeah,
Dream.
you're right. Wrestle Dream.
Okay, yeah. That I feel like that was underrated, bro.
I agree. Yeah,
it's fucking like people don't talk about that match enough. And then the Texas Death, I feel like that was an all timer. This third one, I feel like it's gonna be one of the best TV matches that AEW's ever done. Fully expect for this to end in a draw. I think they've definitely been. It'd be weird for them to keep Hangman around in this story for this long, just to be like, oh well, finally got that off my back. 1v1 versus Joe. I think this is definitely heading towards a triple threat at Revolution, which I think it's the right move. I think it's the right move. But yeah, man, I'm excited. AEW's back, bro. We don't gotta do no fucking devil bits. I can see fucking real wrestling. I don't gotta see fucking kangaroo kick, none of that shit, bro. We're here.
I think Hangman won't win.
You think so?
Here's the thing: if it was advertised as just winner faces Joe, I would pick Hangman and think they would do it on TV. But because they said at Revolution specifically, I think a draw. Because there's time, right? You could easily do Hangman Joe on TV and then go to a triple threat at the pay-per-view. But they said at Revolution, so I think it will be a draw also. I hope they don't. The one thing I would say is, I'll get this out of the way now so I can briefly whine about it if they do it. Do not do the thing where the champ beats them both up. Please do not. That angle has been done a million times. You know when like the champ lays out both of them and then they're told this triple threat.
Bro, Roman Reigns did it like last week.
Yeah, please.
I see 2 muscle busters coming, Joe. I see it in our future. I see 2 muscle busters coming.
I would much prefer they do a time limit draw. But yeah, I'm intrigued with it. Like, I think the segment was good. We've talked a lot about how like it's great the way they've kept these guys linked to each other. Also, it's worth noting that this whole main event block, like Joe on commentary, was hilarious because he would like virtually broke character for Rob Van Dam.
Yes,
I mean he was being in character because he wanted Rob to kick his ass, but like Rob and Joe,
he was popping huge.
Yeah, because I think they've
positive
friends. I want to say they've been friends like way back before TNA. So he probably was thinking, well, how the hell am I sitting here commentating on Rob Van Dam's match in 2024? So that added a charm to all of this, and that was the same for the post match. But this has all been well done. It has been. Like, I do worry a little bit about what they do. Like, say next week is a draw and they announce a triple threat. I do worry slightly about what the last 3 weeks of that build are because they've been doing this build literally since Joe first segment as the champ, right? So that's a small thing, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I think it's been very well done.
Forgot to mention as well that in the main event, some interference, people. There was some interference.
Oh, yeah.
Brian Cage got involved.
The machine.
Hook then came out with a chair, I think he came out with.
Mm-hmm.
And them two started fighting off into the back. So maybe that's a potential. Maybe that's in Hook's next match, Brian Cage. I can buy into it.
They've announced that already, didn't they?
They
didn't announce it. They had a segment.
On Collision,
Brian Cage
right?
had a segment. He was like, "Oh, I was the first FTW champion in this company. Won my belt back, all that jazz."
I'm into it. Joseph, £2, appreciate you. Are we ever going to get a serious pack push in AEW? Yeah, I was going to say
that's on Pac, bro. He doesn't want to be in the States. He doesn't want to travel every week either. It's on Pac.
Yeah,
he's making good money. He gets to wrestle his friends. He gets to go home and be with his family. It's enough for some people.
Yeah, man.
It's been off TV for ages now.
Crazy.
Yeah, AEW Dynamite, man. A nice show.
Yeah.
A nice show. Hangman versus Toa Leona was probably my personal highlight. The Young Bucks stuff did pop me. Unfortunate about Wardlow, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they continued the women's title stuff. Darby Allin was on the show a few times. Killed in a tag title match. And of course, Swerve and Hangman Dealer's Choice being the main kind of thread of the show. So
Yeah.
pretty decent show, even though it didn't look that stacked on paper, but in in action when watching, it was a pretty decent Dynamite, man. It wasn't like a great Dynamite, especially by what we expect a great Dynamite to be, but no, I'm not complaining.
No, and also when you actually get ahead of things and you have that stuff to look forward to next week, it's a lot easier to just be like, yeah, this was just a nice show, and next week's like feels like a big one, right? So I would like them to get back to that. Like, I really like when Dynamite would end and you would know like what's the big match next week or the next, I'd like them to get back to that as a consistent thing. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. I understand Collision complicates things because remember, like once upon a time, you would know the whole card. It would be it would actually be kind of insane to look back on.
I think that's the way to do it with weekly TV, man. Where it's like know a majority of the card like 6 days out. Because like it's going to help with ticket sales, promoting the show in general, building some sort of momentum and hype in general, and I just think that's just the way it should be. So it's like after Vince first left WWE Creative, like properly left Creative, it was like one of the first things that Triple H wanted to like really drive home was like none of these like stuff getting advertised and it getting pulled and stuff like that, and he'd try and announce like 4 or sometimes even more things for the show on the week before show sort of thing. So I think it's always a good thing to know what's going to be on next week, and then you just kind of fill in some gaps and throw in a few nice surprises or a few pops here and there, a few backstage segment things here and there. But the actual meat of the show, in terms of what the top stars who are around for that show are doing, should kind of be pretty outlined by
I agree.
the end of the show, So, yeah, and then next week they've definitely done that, as you just mentioned. The announcements we just spoke about, Swerve and Hangman. You've got the tag title match, which is already announced as well. Announced last night was the trios match, CMLL versus BCC, which just sounds tremendous, really, doesn't it?
Yes.
Is Takeshita Jericho on Dynamite as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Takeshita Jericho. Takeshita's probably going to put Jericho in a hearse. I'll pop for that.
I hope so.
Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see, but it definitely does look like a stack. Then we got, of course, Tony Khan's big announcement. We got that as well. So, stacked episode next week. This week was a pretty decent filler episode.
Yeah. I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to going into it, so that's always a positive.
Absolutely, it's always a win. Always a win. All right, so that's AEW Dynamite, and we do have some new things to get into. But first, now that we spoke about the announcements, we wouldn't be a real AEW Dynamite review if we didn't talk about the return of the AEW rankings. So let's talk about the return of the AEW rankings.
A real big announcement.
I wasn't warned about this being a segment. I'm very alarmed.
It's not a segment, but it's like we've reviewed Dynamite. The rankings came out immediately after Dynamite. Okay. All right, so let's go through the first official AEW rankings of 2024 now that they're back. And in the men's division, we have, of course, your champions, Samoa Joe, Christian Cage, Orange Cassidy, and Eddie Kingston. And the contenders are number 1, Swerve Strickland, number 2, Hangman Adam Page, number 3, Adam Copeland, number 4, John Moxley, number 5, Roderick Strong. No Bryan Danielson.
Roddy snuck in there, bro. That's where the belt thing is an issue, right? Like the other 4, obviously I'm saying this, so Roderick Strong, but the other 4 are like, that's the way I think the ranking should look, like the real heavy hitters. Yeah. But because they want the international, I get it. It's not egregious. At least Roddy has won a couple matches as of late, right? I think.
Yeah.
Brian Keith,
Commander, like the belts, and then like having the 4 champions as part of like they're not actually ranked as in 1, 2, 3, 4, but they are kind of like.
Oh, froze. I thought he was just really concentrating on the rankings. Then. I was
Yeah,
where did it cut off?
You said they're not ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, but they are, and then you froze in concentration. You were talking about the champs.
Okay, so the champions aren't ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, but they are counted in the rankings, which of course then dictates how the rest of the rankings play out. Which means you have people who obviously they want Roderick Strong to be competing for the international title, and if and when Roderick Strong wins that bout, his challengers are then being like the top 5, and you'll probably be seeing people like fucking Commander and stuff like that, right? You know what I mean? Right next to like John Moxley and stuff.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this before we went live, and it's like if you wanna do that, you need to. It feels like you should create separate divisions for the belts.
Yes.
So you've got an international division, a Triple Crown division, a TNT division, a World Title division. And you can kind of make it a bit more clear, and then quality of wins counts for something as well a lot more than instead of like Roddy's beat a couple of, I don't want to call them jobbers, but like he isn't exactly beating the same people Hangman's beat recently,
Yeah.
So
to me the kayfabe point of a TV title or whatever the internet, like the point of that is that it's kind of like anyone can get a shot at that, but I think that's kind of the charm of those belts. Like an international champion, they actually explain what the purpose of that was originally. I know that's kind of faded now. But if TNT title is in theory their TV title, to me, you look at the history of that belt, the open challenge, right? Like a guy could come in from anywhere. I think you can explain that and actually exclude them from the rankings, to be honest. I would actually just make it a world title thing. Now, the Triple Crown, I do not know I don't know how you explain that. I don't know how you explain that without the rankings, to be honest. But Eddie has 3 belts, which is worthwhile in itself. So, yeah, that's more complicated. But I would actually exclude the other 2 belts personally.
Yeah, I think the World Title division needs to be its own division.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same with the women's and the TBS title. It's laid out the same, but the contenders are number 1 Perazo, number 2 Rosa, number 3 Shida, number 4 Sky Blue, number 5 Mariah May, which all sound pretty, believable, whatever you want to call it. The tag and the trios is.
They're very funny.
So the tag is. Obviously, you got Ricky and Big Bill champs. Number 1, Sting and Darby. Number 2, John Silver and Alex Reynolds. Number 3, Brian and Claudio. How often have Brian and Claudio tagged together in 2024?
Is it just the Eddie and Ortiz match? Is that it?
Let me see.
I think so.
I don't remember them tagging a lot. I could be wrong.
That's what I mean.
They wrestled Ricky and Bill a few months back. And they lost that match, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I don't know.
Number 4, Private Party. Number 5, Orange and Trent.
Orange and Trent.
They're just throwing darts at a board.
Where are the FTR?
Where the fuck John Silver and Alex Reynolds come from? When's the last time they were on TV?
Listen, the trios is
even better, even more funny.
Trios is the champions are the Acclaimed. All right, number 1, Bullet Club Gold, makes sense. Number 2, the Hardys and Mark Briscoe.
Yep.
Number 3, Dark Order.
What?
Number 4, FTR and Daniel Garcia.
So how is winning a cage match with House of Black not enough to topple the Dark Order for the 3 seed?
So I'm scrolling the timeline, and right when we got on this subject, I saw a tweet by WrestlePurists' own Peps, and apparently the Dark Order have been on a nice little winning streak on dark matches, pre-show dark matches. So how people hated what was going on with AEW Dark and how it affected the rankings. Now it looks like we're incorporating matches that we don't know anything about. But
you know what? If they show footage of an actual dark match next week, I will just co-sign. I respect it. No one wants to see these wins, so we'll just pretend. That's awesome. My goodness.
But I was telling I think it was so I was telling somebody before the show that basically, Rampage spoilers. If you don't want to hear, hit mute real quick. The Dark Order got a title match on Rampage just to give Ricky Starks like a hometown match or whatever. So they threw him on the rankings to give like a ranked team a title match, which was kind of the issue, one of the major issues with the rankings before they went away the last time. So I hope they don't lean into this too heavily and they're just like, I don't know, who knows how long they knew this was coming back. But if this was kind of just like thrown at them or whatever, they're just like, we gotta get Ricky a match, let's just get him on the rankings, and then we'll really go forward with these rankings and put care into them and make sure no dark match only tag team is number 2 or 3 or whatever the fuck they were.
Mm-hmm.
They should
and
do,
then rounding out the top 4 is House of Black, by the way.
Okay, they should do even if they don't do it on the 2 main shows, they should on Rampage they should have Shivani do like the rankings report, like old school WCW style,
Oh yeah.
At 5, and it's like really strong, killing someone with a backbreaker. That shit always popped me. So yeah, rankings in wrestling are always like, then they're actually in some ways much harder in execution than you. Like the theory's fun, but it's not.
Bringing them back in the middle of a pay-per-view build was a decision.
Yeah, but
like the more I think about it, I'm just like, that's dumb. Should have waited till after Revolution.
But it did rule when Shivani, in the middle of a wrestling match, had to yell, "Breaking news!
Yes.
Tony Khan is bringing back the rankings." That was tremendous. So, yeah, we discussed this a few weeks back. I liked it as a move because it symbolizes. It isn't saying that I'm going to be focusing on, because I think it very quickly, if you actually focus on them a lot, I think you'll kind of drive yourself insane. So
yeah, the weekly posts used to just pop me. So that'll probably what will happen again.
They're pretty cool graphics, right? Like, yeah. Yeah, they're all right.
Yeah, so the rankings are back. Dynamite's stacked next week. Dynamite was pretty decent this week. Tony Khan's got an announcement next week, which a lot of people are assuming is Mercedes Moné already, as reported. And that's AEW for the most part. We've been over the Mercedes report regarding she's expected an AEW in March. We talked about that during the Dynamite review. So so news-wise, since we've already covered Mercedes expected an AEW in March thing, let's get into WWE news, which has been quite unfortunate over the past week or so. And, of course, since the lawsuit was filed last Thursday against Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis and WWE regarding some quite horrific allegations, of course, there's been some fallout since then, which has continued today with, of course, after Triple H's very divisive, poor performance at the Royal Rumble press conference. Of course, there was a lot of eyes on Shawn Michaels today because he was doing the NXT media call, which of course was open to media questions. So, understandably, he was asked questions about the whole situation and what they're going to be doing about it, and just in bullet points, really. He handled it definitely better than Triple H. I'm not gonna come on here and say, oh my God, he was flawless, what an angel, or anything like that. But when you put the two examples side by side, I think Shawn definitely did a much better job than Triple H, even just by acknowledging the lawsuit, the allegations, and the severity of it, whereas Triple H came across as quite dismissive, to be honest. But I've already spoke about that. But yeah, Shawn Michaels said that basically they can always improve on protections being in place for talent. It's always something that they can improve on and always aim to improve on. He feels that NXT fosters a safe, supportive atmosphere, and also in 2022 policies were updated regarding protection for wrestlers. When asked by, I believe it was Stephanie Hypes, when asked if anything was in place to make sure that there is a safe space for women if something happens again, he said, "We absolutely have all of those policies in place. As I said, we upgraded them in 2022. I have no doubt that they'll be looking at continuing to improve those, but we absolutely do. We have, numerous people on our medical team for outreach to go to outside of the performance center." And then he kind of went on to explain that, look, they do offer help that is outside of WWE, because he does understand that, even if he or one of the coaches or one of the NXT staff notices something about a wrestler and want to ask them about it and ask them to be open about it, of course, that talent or employee might not feel entirely comfortable coming out or, giving that information to someone in the company. So there is, as Sean says, there is resources outside of WWE where people can go to if they feel the need to. When asked if he's talked to the NXT talent and staff about the situation, he basically said that everyone is aware of the situation and understands it. It's an incredibly sad situation. He can sit there and say it sucks, but again, he's mentioned in the past that they take it very, very seriously. He was also asked about so he was on one of the Sean Oliver interviews.
Yeah.
I'm sure, especially some of the older people, although Sean Oliver's shoot interviews were very, very, very famous once upon a time. And once upon a time, Brutus Beefcake, not briefcase, Brutus Beefcake was on one of these shoot interviews and basically alleged that the Rockers, meaning Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, would basically H-bomb, which is basically spiking girls' drinks, and they would take them back to the hotel rooms and take advantage of them, and quite a horrific allegation, basically. And on Twitter, he did kind of walk it back by calling it, no, it was just urban legends or something to that effect. And yeah, Shawn Michaels was asked about it, obviously in the light of everything that's happened regarding WWE. Someone asked him, I think it was Nick Hausman. Potentially, I don't want to get that wrong though. I think it was Nick Hausman. Asked him about the Brutus Beefcake allegations, about that incident I just laid out, and he was like, "Yeah, I think Brutus Beefcake. Even if you ask him today, he's even walked that back. He knows that he was no angel back in the day, but nothing was ever like non-consensual, and he's never like that sort of guy. And I think he was like, I don't want to come across as like a dick or anything like that. I don't think he used that exact language though, because of course it was a media call. And he was like, that wasn't a thing that Shawn Michaels did. That wasn't a thing that Shawn Michaels like struggled with. And people that did those sort of things are usually people that hate women or have some sort of resentment towards women or something like that, or they're trying to have power over people. And that was never my thing. My thing was more like insecurity in myself and self-confidence issues and lashing out. And so, yeah, he basically shut down those allegations again and kind of tried to stamp out any possibility of them like resurfacing and gaining any sort of like super traction, even though obviously they did come up again today because they were mentioned on the media call. But going a bit long now, Joe Hulbert, Shawn Michaels did kind of, at the very least, came across a lot better than Triple H did over the weekend.
Yeah, that was the general response. I read the quotes and heard a couple clips. I did not listen to the whole thing, but yeah, I mean, it's one of them things. I don't really want to get too lost in like comparing the way people handle these, because I think that's like, that's what. But like, he didn't embarrass himself or seem completely, out of place talking about. I mean, it was. I will say, I was surprised at how freely he spoke about it, because after what happened on the weekend, I would have thought he would have been told to, be very quick to kind of stop that conversation. He didn't. I haven't really got a comment on like what he's the truth or whatever of what he said. I just, he came across better than Paul Levesque did, which make of that what you will. That's kind of not that saying a great deal, if we're being honest.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's not. But again,
Came across
very
candid.
He didn't embarrass himself.
Yeah, candid. That's a good word for it. Yeah.
The fact that they aren't reading like statements printed right from like this multi-billion-dollar PR firm. There's just like, this is what you say if they say ask this. This is what you say if they ask this. This is what you say if they ask this. Kind of makes me feel like Endeavor's just like, hey man, y'all say what y'all say. We're gonna see what's up with this lawsuit. If y'all implicated, y'all are out. Like, we're not tying our hands to y'all on this at all. The fact that Triple H didn't have anything prepared to say was insane, and it looked like he just came up with his answer on the spot. Shawn Michaels, while not perfect, absolutely did much better while handling himself with the media today. I was always like a ladies' man thing. That was kind of weird, but you know, it is what it is, bro. These are wrestlers. The brains are fried. But I guess we'll see. I just like you have to be an idiot to think this starts and stops with Vince. And this is not a Fed bad thing. This is like a corporate America power structure.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is one of those things. So it's just I don't think we've seen the last of people getting removed from power in WWE, nor do I think we should see the last of it. Just see where it goes from here.
Yeah, that's kind of that's kind of what we are doing, really. Just kind of seeing where he goes, see how he plays out. It's still very early days. It's still it's been a week. It's been a week since the lawsuit was filed against Vince McMahon, should I say? So still a lot to play out, as of which we're about to get into, because there was quite a significant update today from Vice News of all places, who had spoken to John Laurinaitis' attorney, who, surprisingly, I think, most of us who read it at first were surprised. John Laurinaitis' attorney is claiming that he is a victim in all of this. The quote from John Laurinaitis' attorney was, "Mr. Laurinaitis denies the allegations in the misguided complaint and will be vigorously defending these charges in court. Not the media. Like the plaintiff, Mr. Laurinaitis is the victim in this case, not the predator. The truth will come out." When asked to follow up on this, by Voice, the attorney then said, "Read the allegations, read the federal statute, power, control, employment, supervisory capacity, dictatorial sexual demands with repercussions if not met. Count how many times in the complaint Vince exerts control over both of them." Now, this is very, very, very significant, and how it will play out. Obviously, I'm not a fucking attorney myself or anything, so I don't know, but from the outside looking in, this is very, very significant, because one, it is basically Laurinaitis turning on Vince McMahon, pointing fingers at Vince McMahon, however you want to call it, putting the blame entirely on Vince McMahon and trying to take it off himself, by literally calling himself a victim in all of this, which is crazy, reading the initial lawsuit. And for number two, obviously maybe not legally, but it does heavily imply that there is some truth, a lot, if not a lot of truth, to the original lawsuit that was filed against him. So stunning, honestly. I was quite stunned to see this. John Laurinaitis turning on Vince McMahon. Didn't think it would ever be something we see, but in a situation as serious as this, of course, people get desperate. We don't know all the details and all the truths. We just know the lawsuit, and obviously some people have read more than others. But yeah, I don't really know what to say about this, other than I'm genuinely quite stunned by it. Was not what I was expecting to see today or any time in the near future, to be honest. And again, obviously, I don't know all the details of the case and the lawsuit and everything, but Laurinaitis definitely was. He's been a Vince guy, heavily associated as a Vince guy for decades. You know. Here we are.
Yeah, the whole dynamic with them, and the fact that for years and years we heard about, we heard people actively questioning why Johnny had that job. This thing is only just getting started, and I don't say that in a way to glamorize it, but this thing, there's it's been a week, you said earlier, right?
Yeah, last Thursday. Last Thursday.
Yeah, I wouldn't even want to think of the amount of chapters left in this story. I think this thing is just getting started, unfortunately. So yeah,
there's going to be a lot of people that get implicated in the process.
Yeah, and the Laurinaitis part is wild, because by saying that, and again, we don't know shit about it, but I'm just, we're trying our best to talk on this, but it's he's like, as you said, he's implying there's truth to some of the accusations, but by calling himself the victim, he's also erasing some of them. It's like,
yeah,
I have no clue.
Which parts of which, because those of you who have read the whole nearly 70-page lawsuit, and I've said on a couple podcasts now, I wouldn't recommend doing so because of how graphic the details and stuff are. But those of you who have seen John Laurinaitis' attorney come out and say that for the reasons Joe said, it's super confusing because it's like the situation, like what is that situation true, but that one isn't. And there's the situation at the WWE, I believe at the WWE headquarters, which is one of the more disturbing parts where both of them were involved in a room. You know, like, what do you mean? Like, what parts? Like, it's obviously like we said at the start of the segment. We'll see when it comes out, but it's very kind of confusing to kind of try and match up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the main takeaway from this is the fact that by doing this, like John Laurinaitis and his law team have basically been like, well, yeah, there's some truth to that lawsuit, which is a massive thing for Janelle Grant to be able to get justice. The fact that he's like, yeah, like there is some truth to something that the stuff she said in there. So I hope that, like, coming out of like this specifically, it means that there's going to be more evidence that comes out to help her move forward in her lawsuit, and it can go to discovery rather than them trying to force a settlement. Because I don't think she would want to take a settlement anyways. Obviously I don't know the woman, or I'm just reading everything else that everyone else is reading. But like her lawyer definitely makes it sound like they are moving as far forward with this as they can. This is a massive domino to fall. Like, and that combined with Janelle Grant's lawyers said that they are overwhelmed with the amount of people that are trying to like come forward with stories right now. It's gonna get really messy, and it's going to be a very long thing that will be in the news cycle for a very long time, which it deserves to be. It's a massive case.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that is important. Like when we talk about these things, we talk about, you know, how it's unfortunate and this, that, but it needs to always be stressed that it's much better that this is out there and and you know these there's going to affect the folks who did these things. So, yeah, that's always important to note, because when we do talk about this, it's never going to be, obviously, it's not something we're going to be like thrilled to be diving into the details of. It's a disgusting story, but it's much better we know about it and folks pay that price rather than it being a thing that people suffering in silence, you know? So,
yeah, as Charlie said, huge domino to fall, because, like, I don't know what Laurinaitis' attorney's cooking or what he's cooking with, like, going at this angle, or if there's any truth to it, which obviously is very questionable from where we're sitting right now. But one thing I do know is that regardless of whether this works out for Laurinaitis or not, this is not good for Vince at all. You know, this is like disastrous almost, it seems. Again, from the outside, as someone who's not studied law or anything, or at least that part of law or anything. So, you know, it's just not looking good, man. We're just going to have to wait and see what details come out. But, you know, as the days go on, it's not like things are cooling down for Vince McMahon. They're actively getting worse, you know. So, Ayo, I know you're a bit more familiar with the law than we are, but obviously a different sector of law. You know, I don't think this isn't your type of case.
I've been arrested a couple times. Yeah, it's not my type of, it's not my vector here, but you know, if this does go to discovery, which it looks like it does, all of the names that are redacted, they will be uncovered. There was a name listed that was corporate officer number 1 that basically said that he was in the know and was shown some things that, if that is who people think it may be, he's out of here. Like, he's out of the business. Endeavor's just gonna wipe their hands clean of him. I don't want this to be clipped, so I want to be careful how I say it. It's not even fucking worth it. Yeah, I don't see everybody coming out of this unscathed. It'll be it's gonna get bloody if this really does go through the trial, or if it at least goes through the discovery.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Obviously hoping the best for Janelle Grant. I can't even imagine how much of a potentially traumatizing experience just this is, never mind what she went through that's alleged in the lawsuit. Just this part of it, where like the whole world knows your name. There's a face that's been put to the name as well now. And yeah, and obviously just being at the forefront of this, and the same with like her attorney, Anne Callis. It's like she's, from the looks of things, even from the few appearances she's made in the media, she's been like bombarded really by like media, and obviously, as she mentioned in a recent interview, just like other people reaching out about other wrongdoings and stuff like that. So she's obviously understandably very, very busy as well. And like I just said, I can't even imagine what Janelle Grant's going through at this moment in time. So hopefully whoever needs discipline, put away, fired, fined, charged, whatever it is, hopefully it all plays out and, justice is served. Not to be too cliche, but that's what you can kind of sit and wait and do with these things, really, And I guess kind of keeping it on this subject, Netflix content chief, she was asked immediately, like they did like a press event, Netflix did today, and literally the first thing she was asked about was Vince McMahon. So anyone in wrestling media who is still scared about asking questions, it's like these are like the Netflix chiefs are getting asked about this immediately. Do you know what I mean? So there's no excuse for it not to be happening in wrestling media. With that being said, though, I do think that for the most part, the media members on the Shawn Michaels media call earlier I didn't feel like embarrassed of wrestling media like I did after the Royal Rumble one. Granted, there was a couple questions where I was just kind of like, come on, but I wasn't fully embarrassed like I was over that weekend. But yeah, Netflix content chief, she commented saying basically when asked about Vince McMahon, he's gone, he's not there, he's gone. So it seems like the corporate play to this is like, well, he's been fired, so it's all good. But, if he does go to Discovery or anything like that and more people get outed by name, then obviously this could get very messy for WWE sponsors, WWE's partners, such as Netflix is going to be in January 2025 going forward. Obviously, hopefully the sponsors and like Slim Jim kind of did, put pressure on WWE to get to the bottom of this and make sure the right people are out of there, because, Slim Jim showed a glimpse of it by pulling their Rumble sponsors, but then, less than 24 hours later, Vince is gone, so everything's back to normal now, It's, it's not like they fully stood on business. It was a step in the right direction, but not quite, I guess my long way of saying is I hope that the sponsors are following up on this and they're asking the questions of WWE and they're making, I don't want to say threats, but they're making it clear what their stance is if this does go a certain way, etc., etc. So, hopefully the sponsors and the partners and stuff like that aren't just going to just kind of take the approach that is kind of hinted at here by Netflix's content chief, Bella. What's her name? Bella. It was Bella something. Apologies, people. Trying to remember it off the top of my head, but yeah, man. It'd be interesting to see how the sponsors play, Joe.
It will, yeah. There definitely feels like a Slim Jim one was kind of a dangerous precedent in terms of just like, Vince is gone. Like that's
yeah.
That I do think that's like an issue, honestly, across the fandom on some level.
Yeah.
Like when I say fandom, I just mean wrestling fans and people that watch wrestling in general. Like, it is very clear if you read the suit that it's like way beyond just one. It's a whole culture that's being discussed. So I think that's important to kind of keep central in this story as we talk about and as it develops, because it is more than just like Vince gone, and this kind of idyllic workplace is now allowed to flourish. So yeah, now to be clear, whether I think that will actually be something that like a sponsor or a broadcast partner will actually care about, unfortunately, probably not. I think the Netflix response will be indicative of how most of them respond to it. Again, the Slim Jim thing kind of showed you that on some level, right? So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We've got a couple of super chats though. Going back to AEW, Jonathan Gomez, $2. Y'all think AEW's will open up more seats for Revolution?
pretty
The only
close
seats
to
they've
full,
really got
right?
left are behind the stage at this point. So if they wanted to sacrifice having a big stage, maybe. But other than that, no, I can't see it.
Man, that show, I've said to you before, Charlie, I'm very jealous. That show's going to be, that house is huge, you know?
Yeah.
Greensboro for Sting's last match. Like, this is, it's wild. It's going to be
That's
very,
gonna be a
very
special
special.
show.
It really, really is, yeah.
I'm super excited to be there.
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
Someone
Maybe
asked
they
in
could,
chat earlier if any of us were going to Revolution. I am. I am going to Revolution.
Charlie's on, she's on color
course.
commentary for the main
Of course
event,
she is.
so
I am.
Yeah.
I got the
No.
call.
Moving
you're
on.
gonna get
up.
an entrance. You're gonna get an entrance like Jim Ross does, right? You're gonna go
Mhm.
Yeah, like
Yes,
you said,
well,
I've got to pick out a song. First of
bring
all,
this up.
don't
Maybe
call
they
me that.
should,
They could get rid of the stage. I'm not saying that
Yeah,
they couldn't.
maybe shrink
I
down
just
the
don't
charm,
think they're
get
going
rid of the
to.
stage a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
pack some people in there.
Yeah, man. We'll see. Which isn't $5. HBK don't care. He says anything on those media calls. I think that's it's quite a stern stance to have, you know.
I think Will means like in terms of how like kind of loose he is just talking on those. Like he kind of will just speak to anything. I think is what he means, you know, rather than like I could be wrong. Will may just be saying he's full of shit. I don't know, but I think it's in response to like because he does, right? If you ask Sean a
Yeah,
question, it seems like he would just answer it. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, I don't
So,
think he mentioned as well. I didn't mention this when we was doing like the Shawn Michaels segment, but like, you know, he's clearly not corporate trained. It's fucking Shawn
No.
Michaels. You know, he says as much on this media call, and even at the end, he was like, you know, I appreciate that the media had to ask these questions today. Obviously, this was the hardest media call that I've had to do, but I appreciate that you have to do your job, and you know, obviously they're going to keep trying to do what they can do to make it a safe working environment. So, you know, we'll see what happens with WWE. Of course, it's a very it's such a weird time, isn't it? You know, it's like it's Royal Rumble, WrestleMania season as well. It's meant to be like a very like, you know, enthusiastic time, but. And I guess like I've even seen some fans on the timeline. We talked about this before we went live as well. It's like to some fans it genuinely is, and it's not. It doesn't make them bad people or anything, but there is fans who just watch the graps. Do you know what I mean? Like they're not reading all the allegations and the accusations. The only scoops that they care about is who's going to sign there. You know what I mean, or who's backstage. They're the only thing. Like they're only into the actual like product, if that makes sense, and not all the kind of you know, the kind of shut all that out, good and bad, you know. So you know, you do see quite a lot of that fans just kind of just getting on with it, but even still, there is kind of like, you know, as it's already been called, a dark cloud over WWE at the moment. It's not good, man. It's not good. It's obviously more awkward to cover than the latest free agent news from where we're sitting as well, but you know, we're trying to approach it with some level of maturity and, you know, try and have clear opinions and stuff like that. So, you know, we'll keep on moving. AEW Dynamite review. Latest Vince McMahon lawsuit news, including Laurinaitis and Shawn Michaels comments. Spoke about Mercedes and Okada. Very last chance to get any super chats in. I'm not sure if we'll get any. And is there anything else we could possibly talk about? I think we
I have a plug, Monty.
You have a plug? No, I don't
Yes,
know.
I do.
Are you gonna PayPal me?
Well, this is big though. When you hear what this is, you'll be all in. Tomorrow night we find out 2023 Fleet 50 results, brother. Twitch.tv/late night grin. We had, I think, 65 ballots, which produced 170 different wrestlers. Which I don't quite know how that happened, it was like 160, 170. So that'll be tomorrow night after Rampage, which means that'll be 4:05 a.m. here in Great Britain. So fired up.
Yeah. Happy days. Fleet 50. Special time of year, people. I know I was just talking about other special times of year, but like, this is really it. You know, this is it. Those ballots, you know. People put hours into those ballots, Joe, you know.
They do.
Just a quick update from Twitter whilst we was live. It was from like over an hour ago now. But Jim Ross tweeted saying that he had cancer surgery this morning on his right hip. He said all went well. Thanks for all the love and support. Had no idea about his right hip. Obviously, I know that he had it on his ankle, and he had some skin complications and stuff like that with like irritation and stuff like that, and the recovery from the radiotherapy and stuff that he was going through on his ankle. And I believe he got the all clear on his ankle as well. But yeah, but he had cancer surgery on his hip, the right side of his hip this morning. So wishing him a speedy recovery as always.
Yes.
I'm not sure if this means he'll be off TV for an extended amount of time or how big the surgery was, but we'll have to wait and see. And again, sending him all the love and support, really, Big fan of JR, if you can't tell. Big JR guy,
Absolutely.
So yeah, I don't think there's anything else that I've missed. Okay, 1 second. I'm just looking at this coming up now. Yeah, PW Insider have reported that the WWE Supercard digital game has removed Brock Lesnar from their system.
Woo!
Wow.
That's
Wow,
nasty.
interesting.
We've definitely seen the last of Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
I was speculating about the potential of this from last Thursday, really, where it was just like this and this is. I said before, like even without all this, if Brock Lesnar retired tomorrow anyway, would that like stun anybody? I don't think it would. And now you throw this to kind of nudge him out the door. Then you include that like the implications of risk that comes with WWE as a public company. It's different regime. We all know Vince would have had him on Royal Rumble. Let's be real.
Mhm.
But I don't think Triple H will have the same urge to want to need and want to have him back, and WWE from a business point of view, they don't need Brock right now. Like, they do not need Brock Lesnar, as much as I've enjoyed Brock Lesnar's career as a fan from that perspective. Obviously I'm got to see how all this lawsuit stuff plays out, but it does not look promising for my fandom of Brock Lesnar, judging off that lawsuit. I'm quite disgusted by it, but
Mhm.
it's as I also said, it is not looking promising for the future endeavours of Brock Lesnar in professional wrestling at the moment. So, yeah, PW Insider reported we should expect to see Brock Lesnar downplayed, if not outright moved as he was in the Supercard game as much as possible going forward by 2K and potentially other licenses. So yeah, man, Brock Lesnar's again not looking good. He's not looking good. Very very disappointing story all round, to be honest.
That is, I will say though, that is actually, it's a strange word to use for it, but that is a positive sign in terms of their handling of it. Because Brock's a big enough star that I just kind of thought they would just, power through. That's often how wrestling has been, unfortunately. So that is at least kind of, I guess, encouraging that Endeavor are going to try and take this as seriously as they. I guess I don't want to give them a lot of credit for that, but generally with wrestling, as you said, Brock would have been on the Rumble and he would have got a big pop, and everyone would have just So
yeah.
If this was still Vince McMahon's WWE, I don't think maybe Brock goes away for a month or whatever, but then
Nah, if it's Vince's WWE, he would have been on the Rumble, bro.
Yeah.
There's very little doubt in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. But yeah, Brock Lesnar's pulled from the 2K Supercard game, so you might get pulled from the other 2K games and stuff like that as well, and other things going forward. If we'll see. Andy 200 rupees, appreciate it. Seth Drew career versus title and an undefeated Braun on the main roster. Perfect athlete heading the next generation versus the perfect wrestler Gunther. Effectively replaces Punk and Lesnar in terms of drama and stakes, in my opinion. I mean, they're not terrible versions at all. Braun versus Gunther, Seth versus Drew. I'm not mad at them.
Yeah, I'd like Sami Zayn in that. that Drew Seth picture personally, but
Boris,
Yeah.
£2. Appreciate you. If Brock is out, is Officer number 1 out soon? I guess in terms of that situation in a vacuum, they are kind of different in the sense that Brock was employed to be like actively like involved in it in terms of like engaging with Janelle Grant in like that way, whereas the WWE Officer number 1 thing was more of like he was aware of it. Do you know what I mean? Rather than like
Yeah.
that's kind of the impression I got from the lawsuit.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
not the best time to fill that out.
No, it's not.
It's not all. I'm not very familiar with what's being discussed really, but in terms of the details of the unnamed corporate officer, but yeah, we assume so. Hey, do you have any
Indeed.
strong
Back.
opinions on this? You're back.
There you go.
I'm back. I was going to literally, as I was about to say, my definitive, like, you know, but at the end of the day, Boris, it's not looking good for either of them, is what I was going to say.
Endeavor is going to want to cut this cancer out completely before they move forward. Like Netflix just came out. They were basically like, there was a report that came out that said if this was a week before the Netflix deal was signed, there'd be a real hurdle there. And then the Netflix CEO or president, she was asked about this, and she was like, Vince is gone. Like she basically confirmed the report without us confirming the report. She's like, Vince is gone, so there's no issue. Like he's gone, so there's no issue. As if there would be a real issue if Vince was still here. So for that to be the attitude, and then it goes to, oh well, officer number 1, he knew what was going on, but it's all good. We're heading forward. We're marching along with this relationship. I don't see that happening. So I think anybody who's even like strongly hinted at being a part of this, you're out of here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's all gonna play out. Look, I'm sure if it goes to Discovery as well, we'll hear more about like how, you know, how the board unanimously voted Vince off the board. Then when it was clear that he was going to try to force his way back in by firing people and hiring people he wanted on the board, they unanimously voted him back on the board. And Nick Khan was going on interviews saying how, you know, basically how he played it smart and shit like that. So probably hear some more about that as well. But the extent of which these unnamed executive officers and stuff were involved is obviously it's unknown at this stage in terms of how much details, what they knew, how much they were involved, blah, blah, blah. Whereas Brock Lesnar was heavily employed in the lawsuit and then named by Wall Street Journal. So it's, you know, neither good, but different cases, definitely. All right. Before we slip into more Vince McMahon lawsuit depressing talk, is there anything else? TNA is ongoing. Has there been a Nick
I should probably plug that the podcast is back on Sunday.
Yes, do that, Charlie.
I should probably plug that. So me, Anna, and Alexia will be back on Sunday, but with new branding. It will not be the ACA podcast anymore. It will still be
a sneak peek.
But it shall be known as Girls on Graps going forward. So keep an eye out for that. We're not sure what time on Sunday yet because of I'm in London during the evening. But when I'm back, the podcast will go live. So yeah.
That's Big AO's creative. I didn't even know that until now.
Yeah,
So
no, that was the name that we settled on.
I will be taking full credit. Big AO, staunch feminist, the biggest feminist on the WrestlePurists channel, many are saying. He came up with the new name of the ACA podcast. So I believe that works out to about 33% of every pod, Monty. But my people will definitely be in contact with you.
That's better than what
we can figure this out off. We can figure this out off air. You know, I'm like Joe, and I don't like talking business while on there.
No.
So
we're professionals. We do it in the post show, right?
Yeah. Girls on Grabs. There will be a Twitter account. It's just getting set up. Coming soon. Don't worry about it. It'll be there eventually.
Someone in the live chat just asked like, "Who's Anna?" It's like I can't get mad at them because Anna is such a special surprise guest these days, but we're getting her back on a regular schedule, and you're gonna love her. You're gonna love her. She's great. So,
Sundays this week it will probably be 10. No, I almost went with the English time, not the American time. Probably 5 p.m. Eastern this Sunday.
Yeah, man. Just of course keep us up to date.
Yes.
I'll keep the people up to date.
Yes.
All right. Goals on Graps.
She's not Italian.
She's not Italian. Who said she's Italian?
It was just in chat.
Oh, is it the Italian lady? She's not Italian.
Italian, same.
Brazilian? Yeah, Brazilian.
Yeah, she's Brazilian.
Brazilian currently in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Anyway, shout out Anna, shout out the goal, shout out Goals on Graps coming this Sunday with the official pilot episode. Tomorrow, me and Joe will do a stream if the news permits and it feels worthwhile, you know. And I think after the past couple of weeks, it may be. So we'll see. We'll see what Dave puts in the Observer. We'll see what comes out Friday morning, afternoon, and you'll see on the WrestlePurists page if we're going to do a live stream or not. So keep an eye out for that. Joe Hulbert, Fleet 50. Make sure you keep an eye out for that. Hulbert House Show. Keep an eye out for them. IO shit posting. Keep an eye out for that.
Watch along for Collision, probably.
Yes, very probably a watch along for Collision, especially with BCC versus CMLL. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I know it's the singles match, but it's still BCC versus CMLL, so I'll take it.
Brian Keith versus Eddie Kingston. I will be seated.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. Some good chops. All right, let's get out of here. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Appreciate all the super chats. Please like, subscribe. Please make sure you do that. It does help us out on the way out. After the video has been uploaded, leave us a comment as well. Every time I ask the chat to leave us a comment, what they do is they wait for the stream to finish and they'll just comment in the live chat. That's not a comment. That's not a comment, people. That's a live chat. You have to switch over. You have to click over the tab to make it a comment. So please leave us a comment, even if you just put, "Here's a comment, Montel, you prick." You know, I don't mind. But yeah, people, appreciate you all. Thanks for watching. Potentially back tomorrow. Keep an eye on the page. Peace.